Hey guys, Halos213 here with a new stream, and today we are doing some Dead by Daylight to continue that grind for that lunar eclipse currency. I know we did a lot of Apex Legends, so we're taking a break from that to hop on some more Dead by Daylight, because it's Friday. You know who we're with today. I'll get to that in a sec. If you're watching this on Twitch, I do upload Journey's Password Guys to my YouTube channel at Halos2131, vice versa to that. If you're watching on YouTube, this is a stream at Halos2131. I go on 6 to 7 almost every single day, and I go for about 3 hours. If you talk in my Twitch room, you get a Discord link by my bot. If you're looking for this Discord link on YouTube, it's in the description. This Discord is where you can pretty much talk to me in my general chat if you ever want to talk to me about anything. I also have a chat room where I basically help people who are streaming and want to get into that stuff. I also have 2 other chat rooms, one posting where I go live, and a place where I post a lot of clips of the stream. Go check it out. Joining me in Dead by Daylight, as far as I know, is the one, the only Beak Musician Zero, at the YouTube space, Beak Musician, and on the, what's it called, the YouTubes at Beak Musician Zero. Say hi, Beaks.
Hey!
Flawless intro on that one, if I do say so myself. But before we get into the Dead by Daylight proceedings, we have a little excitement in the beginning here. So, Steam recently finished their Game Awards for 2018. I know it took a little while, being like a month all the way in, but today we're going to take a look at those in the beginning and voice our thoughts on the category winners. Some of us already looked at spoilers
for them, and then it ended up. I mean, you could see for yourself on the store.
I mean, yeah, that, or you could watch our stream and listen to a commentary. Again,
I mean,
for those who don't know,
though, I mean, don't get off of it.
Yeah. So if you see, I'm showing on the stream right now, the Game Awards. The Steam Game Award Community Awards has spoken, and we are proud to announce the winners of the 2008 Steam Awards. Thank you for participating. We'll see you again next year. Okay, so let's look at the categories. So we're just gonna scroll down and go.
Oh, yeah, scroll down.
Game of the Year. So the actual Game of the Year, PUBG Unknown Battlegrounds. Maybe it was immersive gameplay, or maybe it was gripping story. It's well-crafted characters, design, or an addictive multiplayer. Whatever the reason, the 2000 Game Awards is the award for the instant classic. And so that winner again was PUBG Battlegrounds. Whether or not it deserved it, I don't think it did.
It was released in December 21st, 2017.
Yeah,
it wasn't even.
You don't understand. If the award for 2018 doesn't mean for a award or game that was released in 2018. It's for a game that was most popular in 2018.
All the other ones for 2018.
To be fair, the game was popular in 2018, but as we've reached 2019, we've come to the realization that it's not worth the title, being the fact that there's so many more like free-to-play battle royales that, again, free-to-play in the sense that you don't have to pay for it, that have updated and made new shots at the thing. I will say though, PUBG was a good contribution to the genre itself and raising notice to the Battlegrounds format itself. Or Battle Royale format. So realistically, on that front, maybe they deserve it. Even then, I don't think that was necessary. Anyway, again, the contestants were Monster Hunter, Hitman, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and Kingdom Come or whatever. Anyway, the next one, the VR Game Awards.
This sucks. I don't know. I mean, there's got another award.
Anyway, the VR is the Wild West of games design. It's a lawless land of immersion standards where pretty much anything goes. The winner of this award is not only hugely fun, but helps chart a course for the future of the medium. So that one is Skyrim VR. It won this year for voting. Personally, me and Brendan both agree for different video games that someone else should have won, being the fact that this game itself, to its title, again, in my opinion, I don't think it deserves it because even though it was, again, popular, it didn't really mold like the function of like this is the best representation of VR. Like this is where it started. No, personally, I thought Super Hot VR should have won because it was a badass game when it first initiated, and it started like kind of like the trend of let's make shooter games and stuff like that. And at the same time, it also was one of the first releasing VR games. Personally, I think it deserves it, and I thought it should have been more popular. Brendan? Because I know you have a lot to talk about on this one.
I think that Beat Saber should have won. I've played Skyrim VR. I mean, Skyrim VR like gets me a lot more sick because like it has like the teleportation thing going on in it and stuff. I don't know. But like everyone's played Skyrim already. I mean, I guess it was like nostalgia. But I think Skyrim VR should have been like Payday VR, where like it just like came with it. It made you pay like another like whatever amount. Like how much is the game anyway? Like I guess it'd be on sale right now, but dude,
yeah,
it was like
$60 in the beginning though, wasn't it?
Yeah, right now it's 40. Yeah, and that's on sale, and like it's because the Lunar event.
Yeah,
it's
so
just kind
whatever.
of stupid. I don't think it should have won. Like Beat Saber, I think should have won, or maybe VR Chat. I would have been happy, or maybe even Super Hot VR.
I would have been fine
all
with.
three of those games.
I was fine with either VR Chat or Super Hot, not so much Beat Saber. If you're trying to choose something that best represents the genre VR, I feel like Beat Saber doesn't, because of like the teleporting and like, using all the mechanics. I feel like VR Chat or Super Hot should have won that one. But anyway, move on to the next category, The Labor of Love. This game has been out for a while. The Steam team is well past and first creative unrival of their creative baby, but being the gold parent they are, the devs continue to nurture and support their creation of this game. To this day, it's still getting new content after all these years. The winner, Grand Theft Auto 5. My thoughts? Okay, not a fan of the game, but again, they fit the category, and I think it's a fair win if they have a big population following them, and if they still update the game. So I believe this is a fair win, and I agree with it. Applaud that.
I agree,
Brendan?
I agree. Yeah, Sam.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say way more, because I thought you liked the game.
I like the game. Yeah, this is a good game, and it's been out for a while. I mean, like, they've helped. I mean, I haven't really been through it through all the years. I'm kind of new to it, but I know it's like been out for a while, and they're still adding new stuff and new content. So
yeah.
I agree.
Okay. And plus, if we look at the competition, Path of Exile may have been a strong fighter, but honestly, if you look at No Man No Sky, no one likes that game. It still has mixed reviews. Stardew Valley,
it's
maybe.
It's getting better though, so I don't know.
Stardew Valley was okay. Dota 2, it's popular, but it's a MOBA. Next reward, Best Developer. Whether it be by listening to their fans, creating something geniusly or whatever, unexpected, or just delivering on the promise of a true gate game, this studio absolutely crushed it in 2018. And that is CD Projekt Red. I personally don't know them. Gonna be honest with you.
They're the guys who made Witcher, it looks like.
Yeah, here, hold up. I brought up their page on the stream here. They made Witcher, they made Thronebreaker, they made just that. So the Witcher series. I don't know if they deserve this reward. Personally, crushed it in 2018. Again, what games did they make again? Hold up. The Witcher was what years? Because if it 2018, so I guess the Thronebreaker was their crushing hit. I think. Do we have any other games that was made in?
Three from popular.
Okay, well, fuck it. So I guess they did get it. I personally didn't care. Anyway, I don't think we have any commentary on that, do we?
No, I don't really. It's like developer, like, okay.
I mean, applaud the project, I guess. Anyway, best development and best environment. Here we go.
People win.
God damn it. Best environment. All these chatty cutscenes and all those reminders that they need a health pack again. Let's face it, characters are overrated. As the winner, illusions, sometimes breathtaking, Century tells a story than 1,000 big mouth heroes. Winner, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Again, I don't know about the Witcher series. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, I remember when it came out. Like, one of the parts of my computer said I should have got that. But like, really, how it came out, it was like I got like backgrounds of the game at one point. So I never got it. It's
personally, I'm gonna have to say with Witcher again, like since we don't have an experience, any of the competitors I didn't really know that much about either. Like I've seen gameplay on all these games, but I never actually played them.
I never played. I mean, Subnautica would probably like it's underground kind of thing. Okay. Far Cry, it's pretty good.
Again, I haven't played.
I don't even know.
Okay.
Dark Souls. I mean, yeah, I guess.
Okay. Well. Okay, next award, Best with Friends. Now this one, me and Brendan are hoping the game that we were playing today won this award.
It didn't.
Damn it! These are some of the...
Rainbow Six Siege. Oh man.
These are some games out there that just aren't the same with to play by yourself. Maybe you needed a friend to watch your back, or maybe you needed to have a friend you can stab in their back. Either way, mirth is awaiting those who gather friends to play this game. Winner, Rainbow Six Siege. Now, do they deserve this award? I'm gonna have to give it to them. Yes, they made a game that really works really well with friends, but in comparison to the other categories, like Dead by Daylight, Payday 2, fucking, I didn't play Overcooked, but people were telling me that's a badass game. My point is, there were so many more, I think, other games that work in this category, vice versa to Siege. Because Siege, yes, it has known for being really fun to play with your friends, but if you look at the community it's developed, the friends you make through the game, it's really hard to do because a lot of the community is toxic. When you look at other games like Payday and Dead by Daylight, their communities to me aren't as toxic, and I've made a lot of friends through there. And it's just generally better with like meeting friends on there. I guess it doesn't qualify because it's a social thing. I will clap and say they did deserve the award, but not as much as the other two. Brendan?
I think that Dead by Daylight should have won, or at least Payday. I mean, Payday's been out for a really long time. I mean, Rainbow Six Siege is like I bet like newer. I mean, we kind of like a thing. I know it was like real popular. I don't know. It probably is gonna stay popular. I mean, Dead by Daylight's like awesome, man. I can't wait for GTFO for 2019. But
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I guess Payday wouldn't be as irrelevant for 2018 too. It's kind of dying.
I mean, it's got the Moonrise event right now. I mean, but
I'm talking about Payday.
Oh yeah, Payday. I mean, yeah.
It's technically dead.
It's still got voted in though, so that's pretty strong.
Anyway, so that was Best with Friends. Next one, Best Alternative History. I recommended Life is Strange, but didn't obviously work. This award goes to Assassin's Creed. The best alternative history, those who cannot remember the past are doomed to repeat it. Those who remember it, just fine. But prefer it to irreverent it, you are doomed to get this reward 2018. Most entertaining, tinkering with the history books. And that is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. In comparison to its what's it called? Like stuff, I would say this award does deserve it for actually trying to do enough history and study the past to make a game. I do believe they deserve it. Once again, with friends category, I feel like there's other things that or other games that deserve it more. But again, I'm fine with this outcome.
Yeah, Odyssey to be much. I love Assassin's Creed games. Like, at least I played through one. I've owned a couple of them.
You're going robotic, dude.
Oh, sorry. I think it's okay. Why am I going robotic?
I don't know. So another, again, like for example, I feel like Civ would have a higher up on the idea of this game personally, because it's like you are literally creating the history as the player of the world. But whatever, it's fine. Next one, most fun with machines. Our winner is Rocket League. Most fun with a machine, whether it's a car, truck, robot, and other mechanized contraption. The winner of the award fired on the cylinders, engines, and unforgettable gameplay experience made it possible by machines. Again, Rocket League, unlike the last two, I will say Rocket League I think highly deserves this, being the fact that it was, I haven't played it, but I've seen how impressive and how addicting that game can get, and I believe that I'm glad this game won it versus the other 5, because Space Engineers... Sorry.
I don't think it should have won.
You thought Nier Automata?
I thought Nier. I mean, you basically are a robot the entire time. You have a little robot friend you as well. Like, it's like one of the most underrated like games too. I mean, you would like it. It's that good of a game. It has like, it's not just like one engine. Like, you play the game and then it comes back, and it's like it's so cool. I think like with more than just like, I like the story aspect of Nier more like.
Hold up, Brendan. Hold up.
What?
Hold up, guys. I'm gonna reset the Skype call with Brendan. He's coming out like the most robotic voice. There we go. Hello?
Probably.
That's much better. Holy shit.
That's it.
I heard everything you said. I'm just saying you were so robotic. I just wanted to fix that. And
Yeah,
it made sense with the reward, though.
Yeah, I mean, I could be a robot.
I mean, that's what he was intending
I mean,
to do that.
this is Nier Automata was one of the first games like stream, like it was, to be honest. And I just uploaded that. That was a good game though. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it to actually be that good. I don't know why I even bought it. It was like an instinct buy. Like I'm like, oh.
Personally, with this category and the nominees, I was kind of all over the place. Being the fact, again, I don't know anything about Nier or the Factor game, but Space Engineers, when I played it, wasn't as fun. And Euro Truck Simulator, I was gonna be so mad if that won. Anyway, that was fun with machines.
I mean, I don't know. I like Nier. I mean, the closest thing I got into Rocket League was that Overwatch mode we played, with like Lucio. I didn't personally kind of like that. I don't know.
Okay, so that was the game of the year stuff. Again,
I guess it got a big fan base.
My opinion on the game of the year stuff, was it good, was it bad? I mean, it was okay. Realistically, at the end of the day, it's all based on votes, and the community at the end of the day is, if again, it's all based on votes, is always right. So you can't really argue with that. Anyway, but that's not what we came here today to do. Today we came here to play some Dead by Daylight, and I think it's time to do that.
Yeah, same. I think it's a good time. I mean, wait, what? Oh, you get the golden thing, Zach? Oh, you're that.
Yeah, I have golden.
You got the golden thing? I'm like, why are you all yellow? What?
Yeah, because you're the pig, dude.
Yeah. I was wondering, I'm like, should I get the gold or should I get like something else? Like,
I didn't know what to do. I was like, gold profile sounds cool. I don't know what that does, but okay.
Yeah, now you're like yellow. Like even while like Grim's away, I mean it's kind of confusing because like if Grim's where Crimson was, it would look like he's online. Because you know like offline is like blue and online is green.
I got you.
Gold.
And exit origin really quick. Okay.
I don't know what to get either. Like it's kind of confusing. Like.
I never did anything like this before, so that's why I'm currently confused. So you know. Yep. Can't even say anything. Game screen. Dead by Daylight, please. Thank you. So yeah.
Oh, wait, don't join my lobby. I'm gonna leave. I got a coin. I gotta spend it. Got it. Yeah. Should spend it on her top. I'm gonna spend it on her head. There we go. Okay, now I'll invite you.
Why is my game muted?
Just join your game. Okay, that was weird.
I don't know why my game audio was at 0. That was kind of weird. But anyway, yes.
It'd be cool. I liked it like last year or whatever. Like there was a community thing, so even after going on, it was actually like initiative to keep on going because of the rank 12. When that happened, I didn't realize how we were.
Wait, what? Are you hosting or?
Yeah.
You did? I did not get it. I will join your game. Joining is loading. But yeah, so the reason why I did Dead by Daylight today is because we were playing way too much Apex. It says unreachable. Hello? Brendan? I don't know what's going on, but then while we're waiting for him, I'm gonna hop in the store really quick and take a look at stuff. So yeah, once again, for those reminder of the lunar update, a skin for the Huntress, what's it called, for Feng Ming and Ace all have a new outfit for this update. Personally, I've already got the Ace outfit, so I'm kind of waiting to show it off because I'm waiting for Brendan. But I guess our next trick is to get, what's it called, another skin. For those who are wondering how this update works, as for the Survivor, in the game you can use offerings to put lanterns on the map. If you survive with the lantern, you get 25 points. Like if you actually leave with it. If you, what's it called, do finish a generator, that's 4 points alone. And the other thing to note is that the killer can destroy a lunar vessel if someone is hooked if someone's hooked and there's a lunar vessel that's turned red. They have a limited time to break it. If they break it, the hunter gets 4 points and we lose a lunar vessel, or basically the lantern. I think my internet just went down. I will try to fix it. I'm going to restart. There you go. Send. Anyway, so yes. That's the plan of attack. You also get 3 points if or they get 3 points if they hook a survivor, so more intention to hook us. I'm gonna check Skype really quick. I'm gonna leave the call with Brendan really quick, being the fact that he is currently off, and I'm gonna lower down my Dead by Daylight volume a lot because it's gonna get really loud. Yeah, see, that was at 18. I don't know why it does that. If Brendan doesn't get back soon, we'll probably just run a match. But yeah. What else is there? I kind of want to look more into the killer stuff. Characters. So let's take a look at this Huntress skin. So for those who didn't know, Huntress actually had a lunar event skin prior to this. Why do I have a notification? Chat. Where is this notification? Oh, I don't see it. Whatever. So prior to that, the killer had, or the Huntress has got a lunar skin, which was this one, I think. No, wait. Timid Bunny. There's Mo Bear. I believe it was this one. You could get back in the original lunar event. But now they've given her this skin right here, which is the Day of the Hog or whatever. It's pretty much, again, can't read it because it cuts off the screen for whatever reason. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I don't know why it's set like that. It's actually kind of weird because it's supposed to go on the left side or the right side when it's too much to the left, but it's not doing that. Whatever. Anyway, so that's what she recently got. Feng Ming got this new outfit, which Brendan's trying to build right now. He's one piece away. I believe he has the head and the skirt, and he's about to get the shirt once we do today's stream. Also, on top of that, we also has Trapper. I'm trying to grind stuff up for him point-wise. That and try and unlock the other survivors. Being the fact that I kind of want to unlock, not Jeff, I kind of want to unlock Kate to get her boil over perk. Speaking of, let's see what's in this shrine right now. One-handed? Hi again. Nah, I could receive a lot of blood points if I already do that. Go ahead, man. Okay. So we're just going to run a couple of matches alone. Will do. Will do. Call me when you're back. So we're just doing a couple matches without Brendan, being the fact that his internet's down right now. Let's do this. As you can see on my Ace, I was wearing the lunar equipment, being the fact that I unlocked all the stuff. So we're just, right now, we're just going to grind up some Ace points. My main objective right now, leveling wise, is to get my, what's it called, my Atom to 50. So when this lunar event ends, I'm going to put I'm going to prestige Ace 2 more times. Okay, never mind. You good?
Maybe. I launched the game up.
Okay, I'm going to leave then, because I was in a match. I didn't start yet.
Sweet. I'm like, maybe I do it fast enough, but won't actually start. Oh man, that was weird.
Do you
It's
want me
like,
to
oh
invite you?
yeah. It's like, oh, you don't have an internet connection and stuff. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I do. What? And then all of a sudden you couldn't hear me. And I'm like, okay, then I guess I don't. I guess I have to restart.
Well, hopefully this doesn't become a problem. Kind of sucks. It started happening right as we were about to freaking play Dead by Daylight. Well, I sent you an invite. So like I said before, guys, the main objective is to level Adam up while we're waiting, and then we'll switch back over to what's it called? Oh wow, they added that. Okay, so a new update I just figured out. You can equip outfits if you have the full outfit. Can I save this outfit?
Yeah. Again later. Okay.
Brendan, hello?
Jack,
Yes?
don't let me back.
Do you have someone on the internet or something? Because I can barely hear you. You're cutting in and out left and right. That's peak and drop. I can't hear you if you're talking. Well, I don't know what happened to Brendan again. We're just gonna run a match then while he's like, just to keep the game going. Now it's attempting to reach to him. We might lose Brendan here. So, anyway, minus that. How is your guys' day? For those who are watching. We might actually run a couple of killer games because we haven't done that in a while. And that was pretty fun. So I didn't know they also updated that outfit layout. So if you have a full outfit, you can just equip, which is kind of cool. Also, I don't know if let me lower down my audio once again, because Brendan just decided to hang out there. Jesus. I'm gonna go find the Hex Ruin really quick while this is happening. Also, while doing that, I'm gonna move into the general area to save the survivor. Because why not? but I was still exposed. God damn it. That's bullshit. That's some grade A bullshit. I fucking promise you. Bullshit. How have we not finished a generator yet, honestly? God damn it, a hex rune I forgot. See, what that last lady was missing is the ability to be stealthy. If you can stealth, you can get away from almost any scenario. Oh god. Oh, I pulled the fucking thing down. Fuck you, game. Oh, and I'm fucking dead. God damn it, no! Oh! God damn it. It'd be helpful to have a teammate. Also, these randos weren't so stupid. God damn it. Well, at least we got 4 coins out of that. It was one of my tiers in tier 12, I'm assuming. Oh, we just passed. We were pretty helpful there. I'm not gonna even spectate. Those people are trash. Straight trash. Let's go to Adam's thing. I didn't even find a lantern that game. Kind of sad. What do I need to build for him again? We have all level 1s of stuff, but I need, I think, a perfect ace build. I have in my ace build right now. Decisive Strike, Sprint Burst, Empathy, and Unbreak. So if I go to Adam, I need to start using him. Sprint Burst, Decisive Strike. I need Unbreaking is what I need. I don't think I have it yet though. No. Damn. Well, that's sad that we didn't get what we needed, but we can still get stuff. So let's go for, we'll make it. Because because that's going to be helpful if I don't get breaking. Remember, it's better to be a hero, not a zero. Okay. Okay, good ping. And good team. Now we just need the killer ready up. There we go. Asking you shall receive. Is the way I see it. Again, I was hoping to have Beaked with me today, but again, since this internet is killing itself, that is unlike the question at hand. Hopefully we can get Beaked up and going again, and we're not sitting here by ourselves for the majority of the stream. If so, if we get to about the 2 hour to an hour and a half mark, I'll probably switch up the games. I don't know what I'm going to play, though. We could switch over to 100% orange juice. That would be kind of fun. I'd like switching between the two. Oh, man. Oh, what? Lag. Let me have. Thank you. Oh my god, I'm lagging. Yeah, I had good ping in the thing. I don't know why it's suddenly all of a sudden trashy. The ping was really good last time. Ooh, shit, dude. I'm like teleporting all over the place. Please let me run. Please let me run. Please let me run. Why isn't it? Oh my god. I like he's lag hacking. Are you serious right now, dude? I didn't hit it. Oh my god. Fuck it, I'm just gonna wiggle at this point. Damn it. Fucking laggy bastard. If I could run! I'm literally running in place. Oh my god, I'm officially stuck. It won't let me run! Oh my god. That is so agitating. This... I'm about to say fuck it and disconnect. This killer is driving me insane. I guess I'm gonna try and let everything catch up, because I don't know what the hell is going on right now. Okay, let's try and move again. Nope. Can't even do anything. At this rate, I might as well just grab a lantern and hide. I can't even move. Is there like a room near me or something? No, it's a generator. I'm not gonna even touch the generator. I'm just gonna die if I try to. I'm just gonna camp out here then. Because I physically can't do anything. I'm just constantly teleporting. God damn. Fuck off, game. I can't even, like, hide. Like, I'm constantly fucking teleporting. Oh, we're just gonna die. Fuck it. I'm gonna let the last person die. Trying to do a generator. Look for the trapdoor. I can't play this. Oh, they got out. Smart. I don't know how they did that, but probably in better this like scenario where I'm at. And I'm not lagging on stream. You can see like my time and everything running perfectly smooth. If I was lagging, my time would be freaking out, but no. It's generally just lagging. I'm just gonna chill here. Fuck it. I can't do anything. Like, I physically can't. Like, look how laggy this is. That was just to change positions, may I mind you. Ooh. Oh god. I want to try and save this person, but I'm not going to be able to if I keep lagging all over the place. Always use him as bait, which is great. Uh-oh. Oh shit. Oh my god. This fucking lag. Fuck you, killer. Oh fuck, I'm not gonna struggle. I can't handle this, dude. I can't even. I can't even make this stop. It's too laggy. That's just aggravating. That's just really aggravating. I'm gonna talk to these people afterwards. Why is there crows flying around? Fuck it, I'm gonna leave, because if I stay here, I'm just gonna get in the same match with the same killer who has terrible internet connection. The weird thing is, it said he had good ping, which makes no sense. When he clearly didn't. I don't get what the problem is. I do not. 300 ping. Delicious. I'm gonna bail until we get someone with who has decent ping and not 400 ping, because that would suck ass. Goddamn. Let's go ahead again. 123, 90, 100. Not bad. Right. 50, 160. A bit high. Not too bad. Still playable. Let's see if we get... What is that? Damned photo. Oh, armored print. Okay. So just a chance to go to a set location. Location I fucking hate, but nonetheless. I'm not gonna hate. I'm not gonna intimidate. The reason why I don't like this map is because it's made of white snow as the mist, and it makes it really easy to see stuff in the game. See, look at perfect connection right here. Look how fast that is. In and out. Also, you guys are probably wondering, Halos, why are you picking up the lantern right away? Unlike first recording of this, I came to the conclusion that if you, Zach, the Wi-Fi won't be up back until 11. Okay. I came to the conclusion that if you leave the lantern on the pedestal, you're just giving the chance for the killer after they hook somebody to break it. But if you have it in your inventory, they can only get it if they get you. My point is, you're just making it easier chance of them breaking the lantern. Kind of scared because I haven't seen the killer yet. Kind of scary, man. I'll assume I'll have vision of them or a harpy at the very least. Is that a person there? Why is my repairs? Oh, because of what's it called? Most likely because of the perk he has. Fuck, I'm kind of fucked too because I'm all red against a white gray background. Oh, it's a fucking Leatherface. Goddamn. So either get in a match with a laggy trapper or fight up against a really well-known asshole. Great. Well, he just left the house, so I'm gonna do the one in the house then. So I'm assuming he's chasing that person. Or not. What? Who is he chasing? Who is he chasing? What? Uh-oh. This is not good. I keep hearing a heartbeat. Where the fuck did that happen? Oh. That was a hex that just got blown up there. I'm dealing with a smart killer here. I don't know if he can get in from the outside, can he? I don't know. I'm being a really wimp. I should stay there even if the heartbeat's going crazy. Please don't come up the stairs. Uh-oh. 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 That's not good. Oh yeah, he's definitely on me. He's gonna try and chainsaw me out for me. Just a feeling. Jesus Christ. Oh, here we go. Get countered, bitch. Oh, he saw me again. Oh, great. Fuck, I tried to loop around him. It did not work. Oh, shit. Right there. I'm sorry, dude. This is gonna suck for you, but... Damn it, I missed. I missed my decisive. He's gonna put me on this hill right here. Bitch. Oh, God. I would wait to pull me off. This is gonna get very bad very fast. Let's go over here. Is it basement here? Oh. Uh-oh. We're gonna get hit. We're gonna get hit. Move, separate, separate, separate. Stop following me. Oh, shit! Oh, he definitely saw me. Woo, shit. Oh, God, he died. I thought he was gonna survive. Oh, I didn't even need to vault there. I'm an idiot. I didn't even need to vault there. Fuck. I'm a fucking idiot. Move out of the way. Oh, he's on my ass. Of course he is. Because of course he is. Oh, bitch. Get closer. How are we gonna do this, huh? How are we gonna do this? Whew. No! Fuck, I teased him when I shouldn't have. Damn it. Damn it. He's like, gotcha, bitch. I shouldn't have jumped over. I should have waited. He teased me over. Damn it. he knows where they are. I don't know why they're not coming to help me. Because of the boil, or not boil over, barbecue and chili he probably has. So also I did get a message from Brennan. He won't be back till 11, so he's gonna miss the stream. Fuck. I don't know why my struggle gave out there, but god damn it. We were doing horrible. Simply horrible. I think I want to change the games. 2 hours. Let me think here. Game wise, we could probably do for 2 hours by myself. Let's do I don't know what to do. I mean, generally, like, wanted to do Dead by Daylight with Brendan, but he's not here currently. Fuck it. Let's do some 100% orange juice. I haven't done that in a while. Let me just go into my dashboard really quick because the game's acting up. Switch to this and play some music. God damn it, I hate when I have to adjust the audio. It's a pain in the ass. %. Orange juice. Update. Update. Channel. Oh god, it's so annoying. Dashboard. I hate trying to deal with this. Update. Update. Just keep updating until it actually updates. Update. Channel. Please say 100% orange juice now, please. Refresh. Okay, let me, while that's refreshing, I'm going to be launching 100% orange juice because I don't get why it's not updating to 100%, but whatever. I'm assuming at one point it will update it. I don't get why Twitch has to be so fucking complicated. Please update to say I'm playing 100% orange juice. Please.
100% オレンジジュース
Ooh, there's a new event going right now, apparently. Okay, we'll take a look at this. Actually, let me pull this up on the game screen while we're waiting here. Game screen. 100% orange juice. Let's take a look at this while we're waiting here. So I didn't even know they were doing an event. Oh no, they're talking. Damn it! I don't have the screen share set up. Stop talking. No matter where I look, I turn into a pig. Everyone's turning into a pig. ... Sora, you have to help me, or else the world is. Oh, sorry. Sora, you have to help me. You don't be in the right. Don't mess around. Squirtle, or not, I was not squirtle. Squoing. Saving the world is what humans are supposed to do. I'm a pig, don't you see? I don't care. Oh no, she's completely pig-formed now. ... Oh no, QP, please be yourself again. If the world's filled with pigs, you won't be able to eat pudding ever again. Oh my god. Who cares about the stupid food you can made by... Oh, I'll just be normal voice with QP. Who cares about the stupid food you can make by just mixing milk and egg and sugar? ... Aru, wait up! What do you need from me? You're in luck. I thought I had plenty of time to spare. Don't tell me you're one of them. ... Take a look at this. What is that? A list of presents requests from children this year. There's no way Santa could make... what? Nintendo Swatch? Those who play days are gonna... when Santa made presents for herself and delivered them, I'm out of business now. Will you just leave me alone? ... Oh boy, speaking of them, doesn't help a bit. I hate to be harsh on them, but I need to force them back to the way they were. Let's go, Red Barrel! Vroom. Mark, let's make that mind save the world by herself. She doesn't know that destiny awaits her. Okay, so that's a new event apparently. Okay, everyone's turned into pigs. Slothful pigs, save your friends from pig formation by collecting pig hearts. Pig hearts are attained by either KOing an enemy player in battle once per match for each player opponent, or ranking or higher than them. Use the stored pig hearts to unlock costumes in the store, freeing the characters from their cursed pig form. Victory. Pig formation will only happen. Okay. Oh, we have a pig nose now. God damn it. Is there music playing? Yeah, it's the default music. I don't care for that. Let me adjust this window size. God damn. Window size is ginormous. Let me see if there's in the settings. Where's our settings? Let me refresh to make sure it says I'm playing 100% Orange Juice now. Hopefully it did. Yeah, it is. Okay, hold up. Let me fix this. Where's the settings? I think it's here. No. Guide, wiki, shop, single player, player info. Here we go. Oh, configuration. Here we go. Screen size, windowed. Hold up. Maybe I have to force. Why is it so big all of a sudden? Screen, windowed. Full color enabled, textures enabled. Background animation speed. Oh, that's fine. Where is the... Did they change it? I guess they did. You can't adjust the screen anymore. I physically can't adjust the screen size anymore. Great. So it's unnecessarily big for no reason. God damn it, game. Complicated always fuck all the time. Whatever. I guess we're just gonna do it this way then. So this new game mode, interesting. Continue. Yes, Halo 131. Yes, please. So I guess to free my person from pig form, I guess we gotta collect pig hearts online. Oh wait, we gotta see, is there any new characters that I can unlock? Because I unlocked a couple off stream, but their stats weren't that good, so I didn't play them. Let me take a, nope, not guide. God fucking damn it. Player info, avatar, change character. Not that I can see if there's anyone new. Just the one character we've unlocked, I believe. Yeah, let me go back and check DLC really quick. DLC, where are you? It would be... shopping. I don't know why my mind is all over the place. Characters... we should own all of them, right? Yeah, we do. We still own all of them. We can unlock this guy last. Let me go to the character thing. Home. Pig... So we need one pig heart to free every character. Because we're stuck as a pig right now. Oh, and then you can pretty much convert your pig hearts into oranges. Okay, cool. Where are we on the cosmetic side of this? I think we're pretty far behind, if I'm not corrected. I think I collected the majority of the stuff for my character. Yeah, I just gotta get the colorization stuff, and then the pig heart thing for her. I guess we can unlock this while we're here. Got 2 more of those, and then I got also, we gotta unlock the Christmas thing. And then I will officially have collected all of her stuff. But otherwise, let's exit out of that. let's go grind some stars. Online. We just join a match? Search. Oh no, I don't want to search. Cancel. Fuck it. We'll just create a server then. Called Halos. Anyone can join. Anyone can join. Speed random. Okay. Cool. And then we just sit back and wait for people to join. Personally, while this is happening, I might try and set up r/nosleep. So we can get my text-to-speech box working again, because why not? It's still as spooky as if we were playing Dead by Daylight, in my opinion, at the very least. Sleep. Did I ever announce that I went live? That may have been a mistake. I gotta do that more often. I keep forgetting announcing that I'm going live. I need to have like a bot set up at this point for it, in my opinion. I'm just getting sick and tired of trying to remember. X Legends. Dead by Daylight. Technically speaking, I started with that. So let's close that. r/nosleep. Here we go, r/nosleep. Here we go. Let's do this. Yeah, let's do some no sleep. Fuck it. No one. We could even fight AI, I guess, while we're waiting. No, wait. Change cosmetics. We don't need that as our home base anymore. Actually, what is our save one? Yeah, and then change this to a pencil. Save one. Yeah, we only need that. We're good. Okay. Card deck one ready. There we go. And while that's happening, I'm gonna set up some text-to-speech bot. Maybe we can find some spooky ass music to play. Terrifying. There we go. Revert. Oh, yep, cool. Move. Sorry, I also gotta remember I gotta play the game. Let's go here. Oh, even the fighters got pig noses. Evade. Need to run a test. Again, do not worry. What the? Uh-oh. Google Chrome's not responding. Uh-oh. Google Chrome. Why? Oh, there we go. Now they're moving again.
Drag and drop your files, or type, paste, and edit text here.
God, that was so...
Natural Reader is a professional text to...
That's so loud. We only need to lower that down. Sure, we can actually kill them. Hey, we got a pig heart. With this, we can actually, you know, save somebody from being devoured by the pig souls. God, that sounded so weird. Anyway, let's delete that. Let's see here. I'm gonna lower her down. The only problem is it implies we have to lower Chrome down already. Chrome does not like being lowered down. We gotta move. Let's go this away. Let's get in front of him. No. So then he'll fight us. Oh wait, no, we're low HP. Damn it! Why did I do that? Fuck. He missed! Oh! Oh! I could win this next round. Anyway, while that's happening, let me adjust audio really quick. I really should have not hopped in a match before doing this. Yes, for the love of God, heal. I don't care if I don't survive, or I don't get the thing, I just want to survive. Here, hold up, let me... My music will go quiet for a bit here, guys, while I'm trying to fix this up, because it is kind of a pain in the ass to set this stuff up. Let's go over here. Bonus stars. Let's see here. Oh, look at the music still playing. Let me run that again and see how this... This is just a test.
Test.
Yeah, that's good. I wish there was a way to adjust the volume on her. Unless there is and I'm missing it. Let's go this way. Oh no, I don't want to drop stars. Damn it. Let me see here. Is there an audio function on you? No, there is not. Great. There's a speed, but no. Okay. So we're gonna move one more time, and then should get this up and going. No. Hey, I got the stuff I wanted. Anyway, let's do this then. So this is gonna be a no sleep thing. So let me just edit the title really quick. Text to speech r/no sleep stories. Done. Okay. Hey, we won. Okay. While that's happening, I need to copy and paste. Let's look up some free to use spooky music. Copyright free music. Yes, please. Okay. How does this sound on OBS? A bit loud. So we're down just a bit. Just in case it gets any louder, let's just keep it like that. Cool. So we're gonna start with this with a story called Daddy's Little Girl by Though Odd Cat Lady. Let's copy and paste this. And move. Okay. Let me refresh, make sure the title's updated. I'm gonna drop the text in here. That's fine. Okay, so again, if you're watching this and you don't want to hear horror stories, please click off now. But we're gonna hop into this. Let's go up this way. Here we go. Once again, the name of the story is Daddy's Little Girl by That Odd Cat Lady, or The Odd Cat Lady. Here we go.
The thing is, it doesn't matter how much you know your daughter is a competent young lady who can take care of herself. You're always going to be nervous for that very first date. And you do know you're gonna have to be back by 9, right? If you're late, I'm going to probably call Rick at the police department and have him start searching the ponds for a body. Dad, chill. Diana rolled her eyes as she came down the stairs. She seemed just like her mom did so many years ago. It tugged my heartstrings that she wasn't here to see her girl right now. She spun around, showing off her dark blue dress. How do I look? I developed a mocking expression, judging her. Well, it's a little short, I gaped as she slapped my arm, because it's winter and you're going to be cold. Well, then Marcus can loan me his jacket, Diana grinned mischievously. I rolled my eyes. I don't think a jacket will keep your legs warm, but you look great. I bet you're not done getting ready though. Gimme 5 more minutes. 5 minutes turned to 10 and I heard a knock at the door. Preparing for whatever Marcus would be, I opened the door. Well, I certainly didn't expect this shrimp of a kid. He was probably shorter than my daughter by a good 3 inches and looked even smaller in that jacket that was at least 2 sizes too big, with tousled red hair and thick-rimmed glasses. He swallowed nervously before extending his free hand, the other holding a rose. Hello, Mr. McDowell. Is Diana ready? It'll be a few more minutes, I grinned as I gestured him inside. Come on in, you look cold. Marcus hurried inside and took a seat on the couch. So, Diana said you worked at Anderson Equipment. He said, swallowing nervously. I nodded. Yup. Enjoy it, but I'll probably have to switch to a sales position soon. Getting too old for all that heavy lifting, I jokingly flexed, but I can still handle any punk who comes for my daughter's hand. Marcus nearly pissed himself in fear judging by his expression. I couldn't hold back my laughter, clapping the kid on the shoulder. I'm kidding. Diana told me you share a math class and you sound like a great guy. I'm not the one you should be afraid of if you screw with her, anyway. I paused as I heard heels clack down the stairs. There comes Diana. Marcus scrambled to his feet, presenting the rose to Diana as she came around the corner. Hey Diana. Your dad's been keeping me company, he laughed nervously. You ready to go? Diana took the rose and smiled. This is so sweet, Marcus, you didn't have to go all out for our first date. Come on, let's go get some dinner. She looped his arm in with hers and practically bounced to the door. She turned and mouthed, "See you at 9" before the door closed behind them. With the house to myself, I just turned on the TV and settled down to watch some crime shows while waiting for my precious daughter to return. I must have dozed off because I jolted awake to the door slamming and someone hurrying up the stairs. I grabbed my phone and my heart sank as I realized it was now 12:31 a.m. I dropped my phone and bolted up the stairs. I pounded on her door, trying not to knock off any of the cutesy drawings she'd hung on there over the years. It looked more like an artboard than a door. I could hear the sink running and a quiet sobbing. Diana? Diana, please, open the door. The tap turned to quiet the stream of water. It's not locked. I turned the knob and walked in. Her bathroom door was open and I stopped dead in my tracks. My daughter was soaked head to toe in blood. Her once dark blue dress looked black and was ripped down the sides. I saw that her right eye was swollen, blacked out. My worst fears were confirmed. You showed him, didn't you? She sniffled before she nodded. Her appearance flickered before she showed her true form. 3 sets of arms were wrapped around herself. I could see the eyes on her palms were leaking tears. Her bottom lip quivered, her right tusk chipped as she wiped blood off her pale blue cheeks. I thought he'd understand. I sighed and walked inside. Get the dress off so I can burn it. Where's Marcus? In the trunk of his car. Most of him, anyway. I couldn't scrape all of him off the seats. She couldn't look me in the face as she handed me her keys. I'm so sorry, Daddy. I can wait for the story until I get this mess cleaned up. I leaned forward and kissed her forehead, careful to avoid the spikes protruding from her hairline. Don't worry. I'm not mad. Get cleaned up and into some pajamas, okay? It was a long drive out to the forest. Thankfully the streets were dead, giving me plenty of time to think about my daughter and my wife. I stopped at the trilene and there she was. I don't think you'd see what I saw in her. You'd see this hulking creature with 3 pairs of arms and blue crystalline skin and you'd freak out. To be fair, I did too when we first met. Siren is different. But I wasn't exactly normal when we met either. I felt you approach, Siren said, her layered voice echoing in my ears. I nodded and gestured her to the trunk. I grimaced when I saw the scene in the trunk. That scrawny teenager I'd just seen hours ago was in pieces, his decapitated head twisted in an expression of pure horror. Oh boy. She went full crazy on this poor guy. She showed him. I nodded. Then it's best that he's dead. Those who don't understand pose a risk. You understand? I know. I started throwing body parts on the ground. Can you please help me hide the body? I'd have Diana do what you do, but Siren hummed as she gathered up the parts. Best hose it off tonight, when there's few witnesses. I'll make sure the body's never found, she said. The arm she held slowly frosted over, turning into crystal before she crushed it, the pieces shattering and melting on the ground. I sighed and leaned against the car. She's not gonna have it easy, dating like she is. I found you though, didn't I? I'm not exactly your only husband. You are right now. And you're my favorite. I sighed as I felt Siren's arms wrap around me. You're too good for me, I said as she gave me a tight squeeze. I know. Now go home and talk with our daughter. I got home when it was closing in on dawn. I had to leave the car behind and ended up walking until I could get an Uber. Diana was wearing her favorite pink bunny pajamas, but it was clear she hadn't slept all night. She looked up at me, sniffling. He said he loved me and wanted to show it, so I wanted to show how much I loved him by showing him what I'm really like. Then he punched me and started screaming. I didn't really mean to blow him up, she said. I shushed her and sat next to her. There will be other guys, I promise, I said.
Okay, that was it of that one. So we're just gonna delete that one real quick. And then I picked out a next one while we were waiting. It's called I Saw Something Behind Me on Skype by Blair Daniels. So it's kind of like that. It feels like that's gonna be the plot. It's probably just gonna be kind of like that one movie. I forgot what it was called. It's a really short one though, so this one won't go by as fast. We're just gonna pop it in here. Oh, let me do my turn really quick. Let's go and let's just go and heal. Honestly, we need objectives anyway. But yeah, so let's do this. Again, the name of this story, right before we start, is called I Saw Something Behind Me on Skype by Blair Danielle. It's plural. I don't know why it's plural.
My boyfriend and I are in a long-distance relationship. To make up for it, we Skype all the time. We were on one of these late-night video calls when it happened. Steve stopped mid-sentence and said, "Ray, what's that behind you?" I turned around. There was nothing behind my chair but blank wall. "What are you talking about?" "The crack in the wall. Harry's going to have a fit." "There's nothing wrong with the wall." "Oh, really? You don't see the huge crack spanning your entire wall?" I turned around again. All I saw was that ugly lime green wall. Harry, the landlord, painted all the apartments in the building like that. All the walls white, except for one blinding lime green accent wall in the main room. "No. I don't see it." I sighed, and said in my most seductive voice, "Can't we get back to what we were doing? Maybe it's a glitch? Or some dirt on your camera." I sighed. "Check your webcam." "Fine." I clicked on the tiny image of myself in the corner. It filled the screen. I froze. Whether it was dirt or a glitch, I couldn't tell. But there did appear to be a jagged, thick, black line running through the lime green paint. "That's so weird." I rubbed my camera, but it didn't go away. I hung up and re-entered the call, and it didn't go away. "It looks bigger now," he said. "What?" "At the beginning it was just a thin crack. Now it looks like 2 inches wide." "Okay. Can we talk about something else now?" "But it's so weird." We continued talking. Steve's eyes stayed fixed just over my shoulder the entire time. I tried to ignore it. "So Mary said, what are you doing here at the salon, in the middle of the night?" And I said, "Ray. Behind you." "What?" But I didn't have to ask. As my eyes glanced to the small camera feed in the corner, I saw the crack behind me was wide. Much wider than before. And 4 fingers were poking out. I got up and ran. Out of the apartment, down the stairs. I swung the door open and leapt out into the cold night. As I tried to collect myself, I looked up at the apartment building. And saw a dark shadow flitted by, from behind the sheer curtains, on a third-floor room. I pulled out my phone and called the police. I found out a few days later that someone on the third floor went missing that night. A young guy named Charlie Hayworth. After a few days of searching, they found his body inside the wall. Yet there was no damage to the wall at all. And the body they found, though it matched Charlie's body by DNA, was in a severe state of decomposition. He was little more than a skeleton, even though he only disappeared a few days ago. And there's one other thing. As the police continued their investigation, they found out the ugly lime green paint Harry used wasn't just paint. It was laced with some sort of weird chemical that even the scientists had trouble identifying. And Harry?
Okay, I don't know why it stopped there. That was a weird stopping point. I may have not copied the whole thing. Hold up. Let me take a look here. Let me just back out of this really quick. Did I accidentally not copy the whole thing? And Terry, he disappeared that night the body was found. Yeah, he disappeared the night the body was found. Okay, so I don't know what happened there. I must have missed the last sentence by accident. But yeah, that's really weird. Oh shit. Defend. Let me. I don't know why it stopped at that, but yeah, that was just the last sentence. Let's go this way. And fight this. I'm gonna die to this, I believe. Nope, we're good. Okay, we're gonna die to the person behind us then. Let me copy this next one really quick and get this set up while we're sitting here. Here we go. Delete this. So this is gonna be a way longer one here. But the name of this one, hold up, let me make my move. Battle this person, sure, why not? Cool. No. So this one is called My Bladder. I used to have a very tiny bladder by Poilin Human Poisoning. I can't say her name properly, but if you want to go check it out yourself, go check it out on r/nosleep Reddit. Otherwise, let's get into this.
All my adult life I worked office jobs. I always had to make extra effort and have good friends at work to cover for me when needed, because well, every half hour I absolutely need to make a bathroom break. I start to shiver, get cold sweat, and I just can't concentrate anymore. My entire body hurts. It's awful. When I was in school, I had to go through the embarrassment to show my teachers an overactive bladder syndrome medical certificate, so I could leave class whenever I needed, without having to ask for permission. I was immensely lucky to be best friends with the biggest and most fearsome girl in our year, otherwise, I would be bullied to no end. I can't go to concerts, camping, or pretty much anything that requires not going to the bathroom for long times. I never travel and I always need to live close to my workplace, which made me move houses a lot. I have underestimated my bladder before, or should I say overestimated, and countless times peed myself or passed out from malaise in the subway. I have tried all kinds of physical therapy to strengthen my pelvic tissues, but the problem was never being unable to hold pee. It's just that my bladder was so small it would be full very quickly no matter what I do. I tried walking the bare minimum, because walking makes your nephrons more active and you pee more frequently. I tried drinking no more than 1 cup of water a day. I even tried fasting during the day and only eating at nighttime, so the absence of nutrients would keep me from peeing during working hours. Nothing worked. Nothing ever works. I have a very tiny bladder. I was recently admitted to a new job. Despite my problem, I'm smart, hardworking, and type really fast. I could tell the interviewer was impressed with me. In my first few weeks, everything went fine. My supervisor was a 50-something balding man with a pleasant demeanor. He never screamed to anyone, just reminded people of their deadlines with a gentle tone. He made people want to be efficient to please him, like a very nice uncle you never want to disappoint. It was my best job yet. He was very understanding about my condition and even said that this is none of his business since it doesn't keep me from doing my job properly. But, Unfortunately, my supervisor had a sudden stroke. Apparently, he was a workaholic and didn't catch a break in 18 years. He was at the hospital and the company made him withdraw. We all thought the second in command, a stern but polite woman in her 40s, would take over. She had the same work style as him, only not being as bubbly. But HR let us know a most experienced person would come from another office of our company, and we started hearing about her. Should I tell her about my condition? I asked Mila, my closest work friend. She scratched her head with a difficult face, then rolled her curled hair on an index finger with pointy nails. That's how I knew she was going to say something bad. Hell no, Ellie. I know someone who worked under this woman and she literally doesn't believe in getting sick. She says it's a tool for weak people making excuses. But maybe she will spend all day locked in her office and won't even notice you pee a lot. The rumors undersold her. Saying she was terrible would be a compliment. Her first act as a boss was to make a pregnant woman cry. My name is Sonia Stout. I don't care what your names are. You, she pointed her long and excessively thin finger, get up. Is this a fake bump? I think you're a little too old for that to be genuine. With tears in her eyes, the pregnant woman got up. Her name was Marlene. She was a quiet, unremarkable person, who never got in trouble. And she was only 34. Marlene lifted her shirt a little, enough to show her very real belly. The tears were now dripping from her eyes and she was a little bit snotty. I wanted so badly to give her a paper tissue, but my body was paralyzed with equal parts of fear and rage. Stop showing your disgusting belly button. Wipe off your face. You're disgraceful. Sonia turned on her very high heels. I noticed they were original Louboutins. Her tailor was fashionable and high-end, and her makeup was flawless. Her feet and elbows revealed she was in the late 40s, but her looks were way younger. She entered her office, and we collectively released the breath we were holding. All my co-workers were perfectly okay people. Most of them minded their own business and no one was too hateful. Sure, there was the eventual bad taste joker, a well-known food snatcher and the loud farter, but none of that is unbearable. We all knew we had to spend most of our week together, so we did our best to get along well, even the worst ones. That ended in the moment Sonia entered the room. A few people decided this was about surviving, and if they had to abandon everyone else to die in the trench, so be it. I knew some people in the office whose true calling was to be yes men, but our former supervisor couldn't stand bagpipers. They thought Sonia would love them. They were wrong. Just the next day, the food snatcher laughed when Sonia verbally abused Mila for being 2 minutes late. Sonia slowly turned her head to him. Someone care to explain why there is a retarded person in the room? I thought the HR ran psychological tests. And she literally fired someone on the HR over this. As Mila had predicted, in her closed office, Sonia wasn't able to see me going to the bathroom all the time. I tried to go real fast, afraid she would notice. My anxiety started to get so bad I actually considered using adult diapers for work, but we live in a really warm place and it would leave my already sensitive skin with terrible rashes. At this point I was mentally preparing myself to A, be snitched by one of the bagpipers, and B, get another job and change houses again. I know I'm lucky to have a medical condition that overall is not so bad, but my circumstances were getting untenable by the day. I wasn't prepared for what actually happened. Marlene's water broke prematurely, probably due to all the stress, and she was too terrified to tell anyone she needed to go to the hospital. So she did what anyone else under Sonia's tyranny would have done. She endured it, trying to finish her tasks. Only the supervisor had their own office, everyone else works together in a large space divided in semi-cubicles. There's no door, the wall behind your chair is simply non-existent. So we couldn't see Marlene squirming in pain along the day, but we saw when she fell from her chair, grabbing her belly. "Fuck," Mila screamed. "I can see the baby's head poking through her vagina." A few people puked, while I called an ambulance. I wasn't eating that day to avoid going too much to the bathroom, so I had nothing to regurgitate. On the next day, when I arrived, Sonia was sitting on Mila's desk. After a few minutes everyone else was there, except for Mila and Marlene. Sonia got up. "Attention. Due to yesterday's incident, I will be sitting here and monitoring your work. The Kaving what's-her-face made a lot of mistakes. I want to make sure none of you will embarrass this company like her." I didn't have the guts to get up and pee that day. I held it until my whole body trembled, then pissed myself. Repeatedly. I didn't even care about the smell, and no one seemed to notice. The next day, I started using adult diapers. Things only got worse. Mila never went back to work. I texted her a lot, until her mother replied, telling me Mila was admitted to a psych ward and I should never text again because my existence would remind her daughter of this hellhole. A few days after Marlene's incident, her family called to let us know her baby ended up dying. Apparently, the premature child was already too frail, and, due to how much it took for Marlene to go to the hospital, the baby changed positions and his little neck was squeezed to death by the umbilical cord. The mood was terrible, but it didn't stop Sonia from being a total bitch. She didn't allow us to visit poor Marlene during working hours, so I just secretly sent her flowers in the hospital. After she was released and went home, she took her life, jumping from her apartment window. The rashes caused by the diapers were terrible. I only ate and drank the bare minimum. I was already somewhat in my ideal weight, so I started to look old and bony, like the skin was trying to leave my tired face. Everyone was only allowed a 15-minute lunch break, nobody could talk. And Sonia constantly told us we were doing everything wrong while we were doing exactly what we had been doing under our former supervisor, and he never complained or asked us to change anything. There was no particular incident that made me decide I had enough. After what happened to Mila, Marlene, and my awful rashes, I started to build courage inside me to quit. I really needed the money, but I'd rather go back to my mother's little house in the middle of nowhere than submit to this woman ever again. So I did an act of courage. I got up to pee when I needed to. The first time I went, Sonia only raised her head and watched me go. I didn't even try to go too fast. I hadn't peed in my own pace outside my house for months. The second time, she stared and didn't stop until I was back in my desk. The third time I got up, she spoke in a volume high enough for everyone to hear. "You. Sit back." I turned my back. "Excuse me." "Sit back. Nobody needs to go to the bathroom that much." Still standing, I told her my work was completely organized and up to date, and, even if she didn't believe in medical disorders, they existed. It's not my damn problem if you have diarrhea or snort cocaine, Vanessa. Sonia replied coldly, and I noticed all eyes were on us. The few that still had the nerve to lick her boots chuckled. They seemed to think it was particularly funny that she said a random name that sounds nothing like my actual name, Ellie. I don't. I have an overactive bladder, but I don't let it affect my work. Oh, so that's why you were using those disgusting diapers, she grinned. I was ashamed beyond words to find out she knew. I thought you had a messy abortion or something. How can you not know you're awful and make everyone miserable? I snapped. It's your fault that Marlene and her baby died and Mila went crazy. We're unproductive. Guess what, Sonia? It's because no one is motivated to work under your ridiculous conditions. Well, then why don't you take your tiny bladder, go back to the shithole you probably were born in and marry one of your toothless cousins? People nervously laughed. My face was painted red and, against my will, a few tears started to escape from my ducts to my eyes. It really hit home. I was really born to a family of very simple, even ignorant people, and worked from a very young age to become a sophisticated and successful woman. I still wasn't none, but I was proud as fuck to be who I was, and I knew I was on the right path to my goal. Until she came along. My vision was all blurred from the tears I was trying to hold. A lot of people were openly laughing at me. I really needed to pee. My body was already trembling and sweating from holding it. My hand went to my table almost on its own and grabbed something. The best second of my life was seeing the look of surprise on Sonia's face, followed by the realization that it was too late. I was already over her, and I was stronger and angrier. I hit her left eye with my very sharp letter opener, and the squishy song of her eyeball exploding in blood and goo were a delightful symphony for my ears. I was both out of my mind and in my biggest moment of clarity. Publicly shaming me was really just the shit cherry on top on the shit cake she made everyone in this office go through. Her hands were halfway to my throat, but her eye must have hurt more than she expected, because she instinctively tried to protect the other. So I stabbed her hand until it was out of the way, then her face, but not her good eye. I wanted her to see it. She started to scream for help, but no one moved. She cursed and floundered, but it was pointless. I had the upper hand, and easily knocked her to the ground, pinning both her arms and legs. I was so relaxed that I let myself pee all over her. I lost count of how many times I stabbed her with the letter opener, the gushing sound always pleasant. Sometimes I would say what each hit was for Mila, for Marlene, for her poor family. Sonia was still alive, but barely, so I knew it was time for the most important thing. I ripped open her abdomen and shoved my hand inside the wound. She screamed more than ever. If my biology knowledge was still on point, it would be easy to find what I was looking for. I scuffled my hand a little. I bet she went crazy from the pain, and I hope she did. My bloody hand emerged from her guts with unmistakable the organ I was looking for. Her bladder. Look, Sonia, your bladder is huge, I said, with my first genuine smile in months. Guess you won't need it anymore. I thought I was going to get fired and arrested, but turns out that, besides all the employees' complaints against her, she was also robbing the company. They had just found out, and well, I took care of dirty business for them. A few minutes after I took her bladder, when the office was still completely silent with a shocked joy, one of the bigwigs showed up. And he offered me a promotion. So yeah, I'm supervisor now, and my office is pretty cool. I still have a very tiny bladder in my body, but I also have a huge one floating in a jar over my desk.
So that went extremely dark very quickly. Jesus, I was just equipping some pig heads and checking the shop if I can buy this character soon. Seeing where I was at again in comparison to how much the character actually costs. Not nowhere near close yet, but we're getting there. We're slowly getting there. We're halfway. Damn, that one got really dark really quickly. Holy shit. The next one I'm going to play here is called My Dad Wasn't Always a Dog. Let me check the author once I get to the bottom here, because I gotta highlight all the text here. There we go. Copy. And we'll paste. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. The story is My Dad Wasn't Always a Dog by Devin Portable Author. Okay, here we go.
Sometimes he was the big bad wolf, or a pirate king, or a troll. The troll was my favorite, but Dad was always happiest when he was the dog. The other parents would sit down at the picnic tables and chat amongst themselves or babble away on their phones while their children hung upside down on the monkey bars practiced the tricky dismounts from the highest possible points on the swing. My dad? He would approach the back gate showing every minute of his workday and 2-hour commute on his face, and as soon as he saw me, all signs of that routine ordeal would just fall away. The other children would gather in a loose semicircle around us as Dad would take a knee so I could whisper my request in his ear. As soon as I had, he would spring to his feet, twisting his body and features into whatever creature I'd asked him to become. If I'd said wolf or troll, he would bend forward, curving his spin into a bow that couldn't help but be excruciating for him later. When I asked for the pirate, called Captain Rattles for reasons that I can't recall anymore, Dad would respond by squinting one eye so tightly that furrows deep enough to gather shadows would form around it. He'd lurch forward with a feral snarl, or an impossibly loud proclamation of, Bo, which also served as the troll's name, or a hearty avast yet, accompanied by rapid accusations hurled at anyone and everyone around the Pirate King. We were all suspected of having taken his treasure. The other kids, having waited for their cue, would scatter towards the four corners of the yard. For an hour or more we'd all flee the wraith of the wolf, narrowly escape Bo's clutches, and repeatedly trick poor Captain Rattles into spinning around on his leg until it popped off and Dad would crash flat on his back amid a string of pseudo curses. We loved it. Looking back now, I can clearly recall the exhaustion on my dad's face when I'd let him stop playing troll, wolf, or pirate and I'd finally tell him that I was ready to go home. It was different when he was the dog. Unlike all the other characters in his repertoire, the dog never got its own name. On the days I whispered, "Can we play with the doggy?" Dad would spring to his feet. His breathing would become a steady but rapid panting, followed by a sudden stop. The dog would snap his head in every direction as though his keen sense had detected some as yet unseen presence. His big, eager eyes would fall on one of us and he would start bouncing back and forth on the balls of his feet. All the kids, me included, would start to giggle in anticipation of what was to come. Suddenly he'd let out a woof that he must have kept stored all the way down by heels, and the chase was on. When he was the wolf, Dad would gather in great gulps of air and threaten to blow down any structure we hid from him in. When he was Bo, he'd carefully herd us onto the bridge of the play structure, just to suddenly disappear under it so he could stretch up at us that we were trespassing on what was rightfully his. Poor Rattles got to hop around on one leg, begging for his gold to be given back to him. Mostly though, Dad would wheel about the yard, lunging at any kid that got close to him but always missed, eliciting peals of triumphant laughter and taunts. When he was the dog, he would leap into the air and land in front of us, crouch and practically on all fours. He covered distance between each of his playmates with great lopping strides and delivered a wholehearted bark right by your ear. While we loved the hapless monsters threatening to get us and failing to even come close, we all knew the dog could scoop us up whenever he wanted. We also knew that unlike the others, the dog was our pal. The dog was happy to see us. I could almost picture Dad, the man that walked me home and made me my dinner every night, as a great, floppy Saint Bernard. A big, burly bruiser of a dog that meant no one any harm. A game of dog always ended with Dad picking me up and sniffing me vigorously until my sides hurt from laughing. It was late fall, or as close as it gets in Southern California, and Dad had just finished romping around with us for I don't know how long. I think he and I were the last ones to leave for the day. Even the teachers were in their cars and heading for the exit as Dad slid me into my car seat. His dress shirt was tacked to his skin with sweat and there was a slight tremor to his hands and voice. "What do you want for dinner tonight, little man?" My father's eyes were focused on the straps and buckles. "French fries," I answered immediately. It was my go-to answer back then, still as if I'm being honest with you. He let out a dry, airless chuckle. "I don't think your mom would be very happy with me." I'd never noticed before that day just how deep the lines around his eyes were. Maybe up until that point I'd thought that it was just something he did when he was being Rattles. Realizing they were there made me feel, I don't know if I have the words for it even today, but I guess vulnerable comes the closest. Dad had just finished pulling the straps tight and I placed my hand on his forearm as he straightened up, a painful wince on his face. "We get mommy French fries too." A deep emotion flooded across my father's face and he pressed his hand tightly but gently over mine. I don't know why I did it, or why I was filled with a deep, panicky certainty that it was about to happen, but I said, "Don't cry, Daddy." He stood there for a while, looking like he had to force his face to be as still as possible against some kind of muscle spasm. With a grim finality in his voice and a smile upon his face that even then I knew he didn't feel, my daddy said, "Let's get you those fries." Over the next few weeks I became aware that my father seemed to be the one dropping me off more and more. Normally his commute just wouldn't allow it. He also picked me up, showed up earlier than he had before, letting me have Bo and the dog all to myself. We spent hours in the park, combing supermarket shelves for the best deals, or singing off-key in the kitchen as Daddy made pots of spaghetti and cheesy enchiladas. Daddy smiled a lot on those days, mostly when he knew I was looking at him. A big, broad, ridiculously toothy thing, and I hated it. Some days Daddy wouldn't drop me off. Some days I'd wake up and find him in what Mommy called his work clothes, or as Daddy put it, his Sunday best. Dad would head out the door after kissing each of us goodbye, stopping to call back, "Wish me luck." Mom would look over to me and say in a voice louder than the one she normally used, "Daddy's being silly, isn't he? He doesn't need luck." My dad would smile, really smile, at that and then head out the door. Sometimes, on those days, Daddy would come back late. The sky would be dark and he'd be different. One night, he'd stumbled against one of our end tables, banging his ankle sharply against it. He let out one of those words, the ones that earned a swat from Mommy whenever he said one in front of me. His voice was slow, slurry, and rough. Some part of me, the little kid part of my brain that was already beginning to die, thought he might be playing Bo for me. His words were full of the same deep guttural force he always pushed the troll's growls out with. He brought his fist down on the table's glass top like it was a hammer. Shards slid across our living room's hardwood floor and bright red blossomed around my dad's fist. He let loose a word I'd never heard him utter before, not even when Mommy wasn't around. Fuck. It was loud too. I felt it as much in my chest as I heard it in my ears. For the first time I could remember, I was scared of my daddy. He seemed to notice that I was there for the first time and a mortified grimace took over his features. He opened up his mouth to say something to me, a hint of the man I knew coming back, then there was a great clomping of footsteps as my mother rushed into the living room. What happened? Her words started out as a question but slid to an accusation as they went along. She was already moving towards me, her eyes darting over every inch of me, searching for any signs of damage or trauma. I'm not sure she knew she did it, but while she stood there, waiting for my father to lie to her, she stepped between me and him. I don't think there was a conscious thought she had that my father might hurt me, more some instinctual fear that we now lived with version of my father that we could not fully trust. I was already in her arms when my father said, "I tripped," was the flat, lame thing my father slurred in response, and I saw him flare bright red around his cheeks. Tripped? Tripped? That's why we have broken glass all over the floor? That's why you're cursing like a drunken sailor in front of your son. Mommy was crying as we rushed to the bedroom. Moments later my father was at the door, alternating between yelling angry defenses of himself and begging Mommy for forgiveness. She cradled me tightly, while whispering to me that it would be all right. At some point I reached up to my cheek and found dampness there. By this point Mommy had been asleep for a while and I realized my face was wet with my own tears. Mommy started doing the drop-off. She took me to the store and the park when she could. Daddy wasn't at the house in the morning before we left and wasn't there when we came home at night. By the slow degrees that information comes to you as a child, I realized that my father no longer lived with us. One day my mother said we were going to see my dad and a bell dinged in my head, the sort of dull recognition you might have when an old favorite plays unexpectedly on the radio. We only went by a few exits down the 210 freeway before we pulled off and were back on city streets. But to my suburban mind this place was exotic as any of the European cities Ms. Francesca had told us about in class. Crammed tight with billboards, corner markets, and garbage strewn into every nook that the wind could find. We stopped in front of a bland 5-story cinder block of a building. Mom let me push the button for the elevator and we rode up to the 3rd floor. My father was waiting there for us with that awful static smile locked onto his face. I felt hurt by this somehow. We spent just a blip of time there in his bleak little room. In one corner a folding table served as his dining and work table, in the other an unfolded futon rested. I spent most of our visit seeing how fast I could run from one wall to the other, covering the distance in 12 steps or so. Mom and Dad, the people that I had watched cuddle on the couch most Saturdays, made awkward conversation. I didn't see my father again until that Wednesday in April. Temperatures were just peaking into the mid-70s and it was as humid as I'd ever felt. The entire day had seemed to consist of one prolonged nap time and kids standing around, soaking up the heat radiating off the artificial grass. I was waiting for my mom by myself when pickup time rolled around. I shouldn't have been outside, not all by myself, but that's the way I remember it. I'd started to develop a creeping sensation, one that was going to blossom into loneliness someday, and I'd been spending a lot of time having to entertain myself. I had a busted matchbox car that was missing its passenger side wheel, using it to trace the borders of the walls and walkways that boxed the 12 or so kids playing with their moms, dads, and nannies. I pushed it along as adults in dress shoes filed past me, until one very highly polished black pair stopped in front of me and moved no further. "Hey kiddo." The voice was instantly recognizable and I tilted my head up slowly, not quite sure of how I felt about his presence. He'd grown a beard since I saw him last. He was wearing a uniform and a heavy belt and a hopeful expression on his face. "Are you a policeman, Daddy?" I asked. His eyes cast downwards towards his patented leather shoes for a moment, a flicker of the shame I'd seen so often played across his brow, before he returned to look at my face. "No. Daddy's just a security guard." "Oh." That was all I said in response. I'm not sure I was at an age where I could really understand what adults did and why it was so important, but I knew my father was disappointed. "You having car trouble?" He bent at the knees and pointed to my car's missing wheel. "Thieves took it." "Well, I'll see if I can fix it." Of course he couldn't, but within a few seconds we were making noise like compressors and power drills as we pretended to try to fix the die-cast toy. Between the whooshed and burrs he made, my father asked me about my day. What had I been learning? Did I still hang out with Nikki Henderson? Was Mommy remembering to cut my PBJs into the star shapes? We sat there for what felt like quite a while, just playing and catching up. Up until that afternoon, I think I'd forgotten my dad a bit. Not what he looked like or his first name, but I think I'd forgotten the sensation of having him nearby, of just being around him. It was just dawning on me to ask him where he'd been and what he was doing there that day. When Cecily Prophet came walking up to us with the kind of intensity on her face kids that age normally only have for meeting Santa. The term tomboy was going out of fashion even back then, but I honestly can't think of any phrase that would better suit Cecily. I don't think I ever saw her in anything wasn't grass-stained overalls. She smiled widely as she approached us, the space where her two front teeth had been fully on display. Excuse me, Brandon's daddy." "Hi, Cecily." Dad had always had a knack for remembering kids' names. "Hi," she said, practically bouncing up and down on the balls of her feet. Dad flashed me a bemused smile and I giggled a little. To this day it's one of my happiest memories. "What can we do for you, sweetie? Can we play with the doggy?" Dad looked at me then. I don't know if I gave him a nod or a smile or if I did anything at all. But after a second his face opened up to a wide smile and I saw a light dancing behind his eyes that hadn't been there for a long time. Dad sprang to his feet. His breathing became a steady, rapid panting. His head jerked around with his big, eager eyes until they fell on me. He started bouncing back and forth on the balls of his feet, and I heard a giggle of anticipation rippled through the playground. Every kid was waiting for this. A woof popped out of his mouth that seemed to rattle the hinges of the gates to the parking lot, and every kid exploded into movement. 13 or so pairs of legs carried 13 little kids in 13 different directions. I ran for the multicolored play structure, dashing up the chain link ladder. I dove into one of the tunnels that were suspended several feet above the ground and stared out of the plexiglass panels that let the light in. Almost instantly my father's face, his tongue hanging out the side of his mouth, appeared in front of it. He mimed a rapid series of sniffs, eliciting a peal of laughter from me and Cecily, who had dived in from the other side of the tunnel. "Go away, doggy!" she screamed and laughed, as she kicked her foot against the clear wall. I think it was an hour or more that Dad stayed, almost never breaking character until the cheap digital watch on his wrist beeped loudly. Dad's face became deadly serious and he looked toward the back gate. He rushed over to the tree I was hiding behind, no longer loping along, with a trail of children behind him all Pied Piper style. He picked me up and began to sniff at me furiously. As I laughed in that way that only kids can, and he kissed me on the cheeks as hard as he could. "Daddy loves you, sweetheart. I'll see you soon." And just like that, he was gone again. Right out the gate. 10 minutes later my mom came walking in, obviously harried and fully of apologies. "Hey Brandon, I'm sorry. I got wrapped up at lab end." "Don't worry mommy, let's go home," I replied brightly, cutting her off. I grabbed her hand, gathered my things, and told her I was ready to go home, asking if I could have French fries for dinner. I don't know how I knew, but something told me that Daddy wasn't supposed to be there that day and that it'd be best if none of the other parents ever got a chance to mention it to Mom. We went home, I got my fries, and the world felt good. The next day my dad showed up at the same time. We did rattles that day. Big Bad Wolf the next. Each time he stayed until his watch's alarm went off and he'd retreat out to the parking lot. Then it was the weekend, and for those 2 days all I could do was dream of who Daddy would be there for me on Monday. He was wearing his uniform, that hadn't changed, but the smile on his face was bright, wide, and honest. He ran right up to me and asked, "Who is it today?" "Bo," I screeched happily in his face. A small flutter of disappointment passed over my dad's face. Bo was pretty much just my favorite, not a crowd pleaser like Rattles or the dog. The look only lasted less than a second, and then my father eagerly contorted his body in question mark shape. Hunched over intently at the waist with his arms dangling out in front of him like a T-Rex. "Bo!" went up the cry from his lips, and his gnarled hand swiped out in front of him. I danced out of the way only by inches. Within a minute or less my dad had corralled me and a small number of my classmates onto the small metal bridge that led to the tallest slide on the whole playground. There were these small holes all along its bottom through which Bo could glare up at us. Occasionally he'd reach a hand up and feign grabbing at some kid's shoe, with promises to turn them into Bo's supper. Invariably this would send one of the more sensitive and timid children to make a break for freedom via the slide. I was always the last to go, as I delighted in teasing Bo. Well, that and a small part of me, the bit that could kind of forget that Daddy wasn't a troll, was thinking strategy. If Bo caught a couple of them first and had a full tummy, surely I had a better chance. On that day, little Declan Morris, the same one that cried when his mommy dropped him off every morning and kept it going sometimes up to and including nap time. Decided that he'd had enough of Bo's threats. All at once he shot down the slide and landed on his feet at the bottom. He ran right at my father, a reproachful and forceful battle cry of, "No," issuing from his fruit punch-stained lips. Obviously concerned that he'd upset the boy, my dad stepped out from under the bright blue bridge, his palms up and fingers spread wide as though little Declan were the law. "Hey dis, it's just a game. Nobody wanted to upset you." Dad's voice was soft, like it used to be when he put me to bed. Declan wasn't buying it. He had stopped dead in his tracks in front of my dad, and then with a speed I would have never guessed he had, swung the hard leather shell of his Red Wing boot against Dad's shin, and Declan dashed away towards his mom. Mrs. Morris had been checking her emails and had missed the whole thing. Cecily leaned over my shoulder and called down to Dad. "Ha ha, Bo. He got you good." My father whirled his head around and absolute rage filled his face, scarier than any troll or pirate. There was almost nothing of the man I knew in it, and could hear the breaking glass of our end table crashing to the floor all over again. All the kids were quiet as he lifted the foot attached to his now throbbing shin. He was coming up the stairs. I was certain of that. He was coming up the stairs to the bridge, and it was going to hurt. Then his watch chirped its funny two-tone alarm. The alien fury that had stolen him away bled out of him. He looked around like a man emerging into daylight after several days trapped inside. He put a smile on his face, the fake one. "Yeah, he did, didn't he?" A quick flutter of black anger touched his brow as he looked in Declan's direction, but was gone quickly. "Hey Brandon, Daddy's gotta go. I love you, okay?" After Mom came to collect me and I ate, washed, and got into bed, I played that day over and over in my head. It was Bo's fault, it was my fault. Daddy liked being the doggy best, and if he came the next day, that's exactly what I'd ask him to be. He didn't come back until Thursday. I watched him slide through the gate from where I sat by the classroom window, waiting for him. He looked like a scolded dog. One that had tinkled on the carpet and knew that he'd be caught eventually. I ran outside and straight up to him. He had a thin layer of hair forming across his cheeks and chin. He was not wearing his uniform. All he had on was a t-shirt and a pair of jeans that looked like he'd foregone a trip down to the corner laundromat for quite a while. He just stared at me without saying a word, a look of awful anticipation playing on his face. I ignored all the signs and said, "Can I play with the doggy?" He started bouncing back and forth on the balls of his feet, and a mighty woof echoed around the yard. The sound seemed to surprise even my dad. I laughed as I ran through the bright sunlight.
Really quick, thank you CC5838P for the follow. Continuing.
The sound seemed to surprise even my dad. I laughed as I ran through the bright sunlight, and away from him, his happy panting following me just mere feet away. Slowly, one by one, the other children filtered out to the yard. Slower still, they joined in. Within 10 minutes or so, Bo's behavior was forgotten. There was just the big old friendly Saint Bernard bounding around them, and nobody seemed to mind that he smelled a bit of booze and an acrid sting that none of us were old enough to identify. Only Declan kept his distance from the game. Dad threw himself into like I'd never seen before. This time when children dove for the safety of the tunnel or the bridge, the doggy dove straight in after them. This elicited panicky and delighted laughter from them which echoed inside their metal and plastic confines. One parent arriving for pickup took note of my dad's performance and observed that, "He'll be sore tomorrow," before going inside to grab his kid's backpack. Dad looped, barked, and just generally ate up every inch of space to entertain everyone that day. It was perhaps this complete dedication that allowed him to miss my mother's arrival. For the first time in a long time, Mom wasn't late picking me up. "Andy." Dad froze like a scuttling bug caught under the kitchen light. I stuck my head out from behind the tree I was using to hide and saw Mom circling Dad, who still hadn't straightened back up to his full height. "Andy? What are you doing here?" All other activity in the yard had stopped. Parents and kids alike sat watching our little family drama unfolding in front of them. "I just wanted to see Brandon." My dad's voice labored and barely audible despite his labored breathing. "And you can, when it's supervised." Mom was trying to control her anger, fright. Looking back on it now, it could have been any or all those things. "How many times have you been coming here? How long have you been coming here? Keep your voice down." "What? Keep my voice down? Don't stand there and pretend like this is normal, Andy. Are you drunk?" "No, I'm." His face flushed far too easily and his voice hitched. "Not. I'm not." "God," my mother said, and the disgust in her voice hurt more than anything else. I started to cry. Both of my parents moved towards me, muscle memory and instinct moving them forward. I had fantasy in that moment that maybe this was where the whole thing would turn around. Maybe they'd both come over and comfort me and we'd be a family again. A heartbreakingly simple wish that was never going to happen. Mom turned on Dad gunslinger quick. "You don't go near him, not like this anyway." Then she turned away from him and walked to where I now found myself very much alone. Dad's whole body shook and I watched him twist it up into a shape of something like the dog. A hunch of the back brought his face forward, his legs coiled underneath him, and an honest-to-God growl boiled out of him. I was convinced that he was going to lunge forward and sink his teeth in Mom's exposed neck. He was going to drag her to the ground and eat her. The part of me that was leaving childhood behind to prepare for life in the double-digit stage of my life, told me that it was ridiculous. Things were bad and they might get worse before it was over, but Dad was never going to do something like that. Then my father, the man that had read me bedtime stories and cooked for me and played with me so other kids would hang around, lunged with a roar that didn't even sound human. My mom turned back towards him. "Andy? What the fuck are you?" I closed my eyes tightly, not wanting to see my father tear my mother's throat out. I heard a meaty thump and she let out a loud breath. The collected gasps around the yard made me open my eyes again. I didn't want to look and I can't tell you why I did to this day, but what greeted my sight was not Dad hurting Mom. She was sitting up at the waist, Dad having knocked her down and he loped up the steps. Then over the bridge. I looked up just in time to watch his right shoe, the same cheap leatherette kind he'd worn with his uniform, disappear into the tunnel. He did not emerge on the other side. I guess little Declan had hidden in there when the game started, and when things had turned unpleasant, he'd stayed in there. After a moment, a tiny, shrill scream came from inside and the sensitive, ginger-haired boy emerged. He bit me. The doggy bite me. I don't remember much of the rest of that day, or honestly the weeks following it. I know that police had to come and pull my father from the tunnel. I know he growled the whole time and snapped at them like pit bull with rabies. I know he broke Declan's skin and drew blood. I don't remember any of that, but I've read the articles. They had headlines that used words like lunatic and werewolf. I'm sure if it happened today I'd be able to go online and find videos of it posted to various sites. I suppose that I'm lucky that it just missed the age of the camera phone. Mom got remarried, and eventually gave me a little sister, Jackie. Tom, my stepdad, is a nice enough guy. He taught me how pitch pretty well. He's not the most creative guy though, and he'd never play with Jackie the way Dad had for me. Tom would sit through her explanations of what happened on her favorite shows like Doc McStuffins patiently enough, but certainly never pretended to be a pirate for her. Or a troll. Or a dog. I got through school and I'm going into sophomore year of college, out of state of course. I've made friends and held jobs. Dated a little, but as you can imagine it's been tough at times. I don't think I have to explain that I've got my issues. I try to get out to see Dad when I'm home. He lives less than 5 miles from the house I grew up in. He's at the San Pasqual Psychiatric Residential Treatment Center. He hasn't done anything like what he did to Declan, or at least the staff have never said anything to me if he has. Most times I go, I find him in the day room with the board game chutes and ladders that someone has shoved in front of him. I think it's someone's idea of a joke. I talk to him, tell him about how school is and what Mom's doing, but he's never said anything back. He just stares at me with those big friendly eyes, panting the whole time. The last time I went to see him as visiting hours were drawing to a close, I leaned in to give him a hug goodbye and I felt an unexpected welling of tears filling my eyes. I honestly thought I'd gone through all I had to give long ago. Then I said, "Can I play with my daddy?" And I felt him stiffen and shift for a second. For 1 second I thought he'd pull back and look at me, the glazed confusion that had been resident in his eyes so long just falling away. Instead, he nuzzled tight against my neck, sniffing away at me.
Okay, so that was a dog. My Dad Wasn't Always a Dog by Daniel Horsener. I forgot the exact name. Yeah, that was a long one. It was actually kind of weird. It's like more of like a psychological one in my opinion. Anyway, so the next one we have here is part 1, The Highway. So there must be a part 2, we'll have to see. But again, I'm always down. Once again, the name of this one, The Highway by the Lizard Queen, or Lizard Queen. Or Lizard Queen? I misspelled lizard, whatever, fuck it. Anyway, let's begin.
Every day for the last 8 months, I've walked down the highway after dark. I find that, among other things, it helps clear my head after a soul-crushing day of data entry and meaningless office chatter. It's become so much part of my routine that every day after I leave work I feel a gentle pull. Like a reflex in my feet carrying me in the direction of the Shell servo that glows like a navigational beacon beside the underpass. Lately I've found myself venturing further and further, sometimes almost taking me far as the outskirts of the sprawling suburbia. Sometimes a colleague leaving late spots me and offers a lift. Each time I decline predictably provokes more water cooler suspicions. Janelle, one of the customer reps, accosts me the day after Derek tried to convince me that I should get into his Mazda 6. Charlie. Why didn't you just go with him? She squeaks, blue eyes bulging. Most days I can hardly listen to, let alone be an active participant in the insipid gossiping about social media trends and who's fucking who and God knows what else. But I extract a small smile without taking my eyes off the screen, hammering sales figures into Excel with one finger. Oh, you know, better to not accept lifts from strangers, right? Janelle huffs, drumming acrylic nails on the desk. She turns away from me to another rep, hardly like you don't know him when he works downstairs, right Sarah? Besides Charlie, if you're that keen on getting fit you should just join a gym, I go to a really good one. You know the model Jessica Pittman, she also. I've tuned out, but Sarah chimes in. Yeah, I'd be freaked out as hell to walk down the Eastern alone. Especially with weirdos out there abducting girls and Sarah trails off abruptly, exchanging a nervous glance with Janelle. I know what they're both thinking, so I excuse myself from the room. I feel that it's an important detail to mention now that my older sister Bryony was murdered several years ago. Mum had Bryony young. I was allegedly a more considered afterthought years later, so by the time I was preparing to try on my first school uniform, Bree was about to discard hers for good. Then suddenly she was gone from this world. It's surreal to think that she'd now be in her late 30s, maybe married and with kids of her own. My parents weren't exactly big photographers in those early years, but from the meager snaps that exist, you can see that my sister was a real head-turner. When I was in year 6 I snuck downstairs on a sticky summer's evening to eavesdrop on what adults talk about late at night. Dad was up, drinking with his brother. Through a gap in the wooden sliding doors, I spied him slumped down, clutching a photograph capturing a rare moment of my sister and I at a birthday party. Bryony radiates a smile, with perfectly straight teeth and a cascade of chestnut hair, arm wrapped protectively around my shoulders. Plain as an undressed Pavlova, that one I hear him say, obviously referring to me. Bree on the other hand, that girl was like sunshine. He chokes up. If I ever find that bastard who took her away from us, I run back upstairs before someone finds me and gives me a hiding. I lay in bed and stare at the ceiling, the air too stifling to permit sleep. Bree at that point, is starting to become like a fictional character from a TV show in my head. Bits of memories I have of us together are merging with imagination. The murder case, by that point had been long declared unsolved. It's also the last time I heard Dad talk about her. That photo now sits on top on a TV cabinet in my sparsely furnished flat. I live alone in a stubby, brown brick shitbox that overlooks more shitboxes and a Dust Bowl park with a creaky swing and sandpit that's probably full of syringes. But it's my shitbox, somewhere I can crawl to every night and fade out the rest of the world. Today, I get home after my customary walk, grateful to finally flick on the TV and slurp down some 2-minute noodles. For a long time, all I had left of Bryony was that photo in a plastic choker, you know, the diamante-studded kind popular with girls in the late 90s. Bree loved those chokers, but she was terribly forgetful. She'd constantly lose clothes and jewelry and stationery. It drove Mum up the wall to buy replacements over and over. I stole one of the chokers from Bryony's room one time and used to wear it wrapped around my wrist when she wasn't around. After it happened, Mum started seeing all these different counselors and advisors of varying degrees of credibility. The worst ones were basically glorified quacks who preached about life energies and spiritual cleansing. Unfortunately, Mum listened, and I came home from school camp one day to find Bree's room completely cleared out. Mum said she'd packed everything up and sent it to a storage unit. A tragedy like the one we went through would probably break up the Brady bunch, and the Blake family was hardly functional to begin with. I don't think anyone was surprised when Mum and Dad split a few years later. Least of all me. Mum kept the family home, so it wasn't until about a year ago when she decided to downsize that I finally found it. Tucked away in the back of storage unit, an unassuming archiving box, the contents of which would galvanize the next chapter of my life. I flip through the channels, skipping over ads and talk shows until I land on a news program. There's a long, boring report about economic sustainability, then the perky newsreader segues into Crime Watch. I love Crime Watch. Tonight's report is essentially a recap of warnings about a trend of incidents that have occurred around the southern suburbs, in the eastern highway locale. A police sergeant warns women in particular to be on the lookout for any unusual or threatening behavior, especially at night. It's nothing new, so I flip it off. This is the reason why Janelle and Sarah weirded out on me today. It's rumored that an attempted abduction bears striking similarities to what happened to Bryony. The local news channels even dug up archival footage of my family after the murder and juxtaposed it against the sensational headline, "Are we in the grips of a potential serial killer?" To me, it's not even a question in my mind. I know we are. I head to the kitchen to start my nighttime ritual, a cup of chamomile tea. I live on the ground floor of the building, which I actually like because the living room adjoins to a little courtyard, and in summer when the doors are open the flat isn't stifling. The courtyard has bricked walls, so I've always felt safe here. But as I cross the living room, I detect a flash in the corner of my eye. A cold slash of dread courses deep in my stomach, then turns to scorn at my own silliness. You've lived here for 18 months. You walk highways alone at night, and now you're jumping at shadows? Since the courtyard door is locked, I jump to switch off the living room light so I can see clearly outside. The tiny glass table and chairs I've wedged in the space are in the same position I remember, but apart from a slight rustling of the overhanging tree branches, nothing looks amiss. I open my eyes like an automaton jolted by voltage into sentience. The clack 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 of keyboards, telephones buzzing, murmurs of conversation sound like they're coming from the end of a distant tunnel. At the sink now, splashing water on my face then drying it roughly on a paper towel. I study my face in the vanity, noticing the sharp contour of my nose, the asymmetry of my eyes. Last night I saw her. We were kids, roughhousing on a beach again under a lurid ultramarine sky. The wooden jetty Dad used to take us to visit stands stoically before us, like an old sentry. "You're it, no returns," screeches Bree, tearing down the jetty, never too old to try game me in chasey. I make a break for it but my feet are sluggish and won't work. I feel like I'm running on my knees. I finally catch up to her at the very end of the jetty. Beneath the wooden slats waves are pounding, making me unsteady. Bree turns to me, smiling broadly, her hair caught in a perfect shaft of sunlight, making the strands turn golden. A bee has landed on her cheek. She doesn't brush it off, but holds out her hand. I take it, but as I come closer I see her cheek is now covered in bees. They're swarming everywhere, coming out of her nose, covering half her face and hair like a death mask. I tug my arm away but Bree grips me tighter, fingernails digging. She's trying to say something. Her mouth is barely open but the bees continue to swarm, she's choking on them, the buzzing is deafening me now, she's trying to say.
Okay. Didn't really get that one as much at the end. Also, the official NFG, I don't understand what you're saying. Be helpful if you explained more, but okay. Anyway, the next one is, hold up, let me make sure I got it copied. The next one is, hold up, let me fight this pirate really quick. Oh, I'm gonna die to this. That's fine. The next one is, my name is Lily Mad Swamp, there's nothing wrong with me or my brain, by Lillian Mad Swamp, or Mad Whip, Mad Wop. I can't pronounce your name. I'm sorry. I'm terrible with names in general. But yeah, here we go.
My name is Lily Madwhip and there's nothing wrong with my brain. The old lady at the hospital check-in desk with the crazy curly hair smiles at me. Lily, what a lovely name. Is it with one L or two? What kind of question is that? If my name had one L I'd be Liy and I don't even know how to pronounce that. Unless it was Ily. That just makes me sound like I'm sick all the time. Here comes Ily Madwhip, the sickest girl in 5th grade. That Ily Madwhip makes me puke. I repeat my name for her. She's old, maybe she just doesn't hear too well. Lily. She nods. She's wearing big glasses. Why are her glasses so big? They're like twice the size of her eyes. And she's not even keeping the glasses over them, they're halfway down her nose. That's probably why she has them on a chain, because they keep sliding down her nose and falling off. Can she even see? Maybe her vision is so bad she doesn't notice she's not seeing through her glasses. What good are they then? I hope I never need glasses. I'd probably lose them all the time. Yes dear, I heard you. Do you spell it with one L or two? She says. Why does she keep asking me this? Two, of course. I watch her spell my name with 3 Ls. Thankfully, Mom gets off the phone with her office and takes over. My daughter's name is Lillian Madwhip. She's scheduled for an MRI. I walk away to look at the other people in the waiting room. A blonde lady and her son are sitting by the automatic doors that go outside. The boy has a bandage over his right eye. Paskar would be able to tell me why, but Paskar isn't here. I know what's going to happen to the boy though. He's going to see a doctor who's going to take the bandage off and shine a light in his face and then make him lie down and put some drops of medicine in his eye while his mom holds him down and he screams. Then they'll put the bandage back on. Across from them is a man with a weasel face filling out some forms on a clipboard. I've never seen a weasel up close, but I know weasel is also a term used to describe someone with beady eyes and a long face, and this guy has both, so that's a weasel face. Oh, he's looking back at me. I'm just looking at this plant. Wait, I don't think that's a real plant. I thought these plants were here to provide oxygen for people, but they're just here for decoration. Lily. Mom calls, "Come here." The receptionist lady has a wristband for me to wear with my name spelled the long way and my birth date and some other codes that I figure only doctors and nurses know. Mom and I sit and wait. It feels like hours. I try not to pay any more attention to the other people coming and going because this is a hospital, and when I look at the other people I just know all the unpleasant stuff they're going to have done to their bodies, and it's more than I needed to know. Like ever. Ew. My mom takes a magazine about housekeeping. That's not actually an interest of hers, but she likes to pretend it is. She's probably going to look at pictures of other people's homes and then silently judge my dad for the ways our home doesn't look like them and he's there all the time. But he digs up all my dead pets and weeds her garden and writes dirges, so he's not just sitting on his butt all day. I wonder if he's sitting on his butt right now while we're at the hospital. I flip through a magazine about science. Some photographer got really close to monkeys and took photos of them doing monkey stuff. Apparently you can get a job just squatting in the jungle taking pictures of animals. I want a job like that. Maybe I'll save up my money and buy a camera and start taking pictures of animals. Or I could be one of those photographers who takes pictures of crime scenes. The monkeys in this magazine story look really happy that this photographer is hanging out with them. I glance up from my monkey article and see the weasel-faced man staring at me from the far corner of the waiting room. He looks back down at his forms, then scribbles some more stuff before taking the clipboard over to the lady with the enormous glasses. I watch him because he's got suspicious written all over him. But then I see that in a while he's going to be talking to some doctor in a big white coat like all doctors have, and they're going to go off to an office and talk about grown-up stuff. So I start singing to myself in my head to stop knowing what's going to happen. Weasel guy turns around and looks at me again. I imagine him with whiskers and then realize I'm staring and remind myself to blink and go back to my monkeys. I guess it's not his fault he was born with a face like a weasel anyway. Eventually, a big lady with really short, black hair calls us in. She's wearing a green hospital uniform. "Mrs. Maddock, we're ready for Lillian." "It's Mad Whip," I tell her. I put my monkey science magazine back and follow Mom and the nurse through the swinging doors. The hospital is like a maze. Halls go down other halls and there's dead ends that are offices and closets. I bet the center of the hospital is where the Minotaur lives. That's a monster from an old story we read about in school. It lived in a giant maze and people would go in the Minotaur's maze and get lost and then it would eat them. A Minotaur is like a human but with a cow for a head. Not a whole cow, just the head. We get to a little room with a bed that they cover in paper because of germs. There's a paper dress folded up on the table. Hospitals love paper. "You need to change into this gown, sweetie," the nurse tells me, "and any jewelry or metal piercings need to come off. That's because an MRI uses magnets. Mom told me about it before we got here. Big, powerful magnets that will rip any metal right off you. I bet if a Minotaur got an MRI it would pull the metal ring out of its nose. Why do cows get nose rings anyway? Maybe it's only the punk cows. I don't have any jewelry or piercings, so I should be fine, but I brought a bunch of quarters in case things get bad and I have to pay to the swear jar. They're a little sweaty from me holding them because I got no pockets. Mom holds them for me. After the nurse leaves, I change into the paper dress and wait on the table, swinging my feet because there's nothing else to do. Mom is quiet, probably because she's worried about the results. She thinks they're going to tell her my head is full of nothing but tumors, but I know that's not going to happen because my head is not nothing but tumors. When do I get Paskar? I ask. Mom looks up. If you behave yourself, when we get home we'll discuss your toy. I see what she did there. She didn't say I was getting him back when we got home, she said we'd discuss him when we got home. You said I could have him when this is over. Not discuss him. We'll talk about it when we get home. I am not going to throw a tantrum. I want to. I want to start shouting about how she's changing her promise, but I know if I start yelling she'll use that as a reason to not return Paskar to me. This is a test. She's trying to make me upset to justify not giving him back. I'm not going to do it. So I just stare at her and think the tantrum. Mom stares back. I imagine she's getting the images I'm sending her with my brain and it makes me smile. She smiles back. The lady nurse in her green uniform returns and asks my mom questions about my health, including whether I'm pregnant. Then she tells me it's time to go, so I give mom a hug because I know she's scared, and follow the nurse down hall after hall until we get to a huge room where a giant machine is. That must be the MRI. It looks like something out of a science fiction movie, with a table for me to lay on and get shot into another dimension through this giant metal donut. Or maybe it's going to turn me into a donut. I would be the worst tasting donut. Probably jelly-filled too. I hate jelly-filled donuts. If you're afraid of tight spaces, Han, the nurse says, it's going to feel a little cramped. But you have to lay still. You're going to get an injection of contrast. Wait, what? Injection? When did needles get involved? Nobody said anything about needles. Can I just drink it? I ask. Oh no, dear. Well, there goes 1/4 to the swear jar. She doesn't even remove the needle, she leaves it in my arm. I hate this nurse now. I think angry thoughts and stare at her while I lay on the bed and she wheels over some weird machine with swirly tubes coming off it that she attaches to the other end of the needle sticking out of my arm. Oh God, I can't even look at it, I'm going to gag. In I go, into the metal donut. I hold my breath and think about Paskar. And Meredith. I wonder what she's doing at school without me today. I hope she doesn't burn anybody. It must be hard not being able to get angry for fear of burning stuff. I'd be burning stuff all the time. My arm feels really warm. I wonder why the lady in black was hanging out at the mall. There's way too much stuff going on all at once. I feel like my head is going to explode. Maybe I really do have a tumor. The MRI machine is super noisy. It sounds like someone banging metal grocery carts around. Dad calls those bascarts because they're like a basket and a cart, but Mom hates it when he uses that word. I call them bascarts when I want to annoy her. Oh my God, how long am I going to be in here? I thought the waiting room was a long time, but at least I had the Monkey Science magazine to read. I wish there was something to read or watch, but there's nothing. Finally I come out and it's all over. I'm about ready to claw this thing out of my arm, but the nurse pulls it out for me and puts a bandage over the spot. I can see the hole they poked in me. She has me sit in a wheelchair and takes me out into the hall. I can walk. Just relax, she says, and then stops, parks my chair off to the side and walks off into what I think is one of the dead-end office rooms. Why did she leave me here instead of taking me back to the room where my clothes are? She didn't even tell me if she was coming back. Am I supposed to do something? I don't even know where I am right now. I feel kinda lightheaded too. Oh no, they found tumors, didn't they? And what are you doing here? Comes a man's voice from behind me. I turn my head to see who it is. It's the weasel-faced man from the waiting room. He's looking at me and smiling. I don't know him, so I don't say anything. I blink so he doesn't think I'm staring and then look back to where the lady nurse just disappeared. I can hear him walking over to me because his shoes make a clop-clop sound with each step. He stops right beside me. "Lily Madwip," he says. "Don't look back." He probably heard you give your name in the waiting room. "I'm sorry. Lillian Alexandra Madwip." "What?" "Oh no, he knows my full name." "No, that doesn't really give him power over me, that's just a thing I thought about." "But how does he know my middle name?" "Maybe it was written down on one of the forms my mom filled out." I can feel him looking down at me. He's really tall and thin, but all I really notice is he's got boots with pointy toes on because I'm not going to look up at him. I'm just going to stare at this floor and maybe he'll think I'm asleep or something. Oh right, I just looked at him a moment ago. Maybe I have that disease where you just fall asleep suddenly. I could start snoring. "Oh, you're not supposed to talk to strangers." "My name's Felix." "Do you want to know my last name?" "Maybe I don't have one." "Would that surprise you?" "I am a statue." "I am a statue." "I'm not really here." "I know what would surprise you." "What if we talked about Paskar?" I finally look at him. He grins down at me. Even his teeth look like weasel teeth. I can't help thinking it, his last name must be Weaselman. Felix Weaselman. How does he know? How do I know about Paskar? He glances down the hall. I think he's trying to make sure nobody's coming. He scares me. He's reading my mind. What am I thinking now? Potatoes. Just because. Potatoes. Read that, Felix Weaselman. No, I'm not a mind reader. I just know people well, and I know all their secrets. Do you know where Paskar is? I whisper. I'm afraid of speaking in full volume, I don't know why. I almost don't want him to hear me. I just want the nurse to come back and wheel me back to my mom. Mom knows where Paskar is. Felix kneels down next to me and puts a hand on the arm of my wheelchair. Even his fingers look like weasels. Not like weasels, but weasel fingers. Not that weasels have fingers. I guess they do, sort of. But not like human fingers. If a weasel turned human, I think it would name itself Felix Weaselman and start terrorizing little kids at the hospital. Oh no, that must be what this is. I'm sorry, Lily, I don't know where Paskar is. But I know about him. And you? You see things before they happen, don't you? Who are you? I ask. He's not a doctor, that's for sure. He's wearing a long coat with fur on the edge of it. I bet it's weasel fur. Oh my god, everything about this man is weasels. I told you, I'm Felix. I'm like you, Lily, he grins his weasel teeth at me. I half expect him to have a long, thin mustache and twirl it with his fingers like in cartoons. I have a gift, just like you, and a totem that connects me to the divine. I don't know what that means. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a silver locket on a chain. I bet that thing would have ripped right through his coat if he went in the MRI. There's a hook on the side of the piece, and he unlatches it and it opens. Inside is a photo of a boy. He's got short brown hair like someone held a bowl over his head and just cut around the edge. He's smiling, and his teeth kinda look weaselish, even for a kid. This is my son, Joseph. You can call him Joey. Hi Joey. I say to the boy in the locket. Felix snaps it shut. He can't hear you unfortunately. He passed away some months back. He sounds sad as he says this. Kinda like my dad when he talks about Roger. But you know who can hear you, Lily? Raziel. He's my connection to the divine. What does that mean? He's my angel. Like Paskar is for you. Why don't you say hello to Raziel? I say hello to Raziel in my head. There's no response. I look at Felix and he's watching me really closely, like he's expecting me to say something. What kind of angel is Raziel? I ask him. He holds the locket up to my face. Why don't you ask him yourself, Lily? Raziel, are you an angel? I ask the locket. There's no response. Felix stares at me. So what did he say? What's Raziel the angel of, Lily? I don't know, I whisper. I feel frightened. I don't know what's going on or if anything Felix is telling me is true. He's not talking to me. Maybe this is some secret test my mom organized to see if I really believe in angels. Felix stands up and puts the locket back in his coat. He doesn't talk to me either. Not that he could. But I know he's there. That's my gift. I know things. Not things like Paskar knows. I can't see the future like you. But I know everything else. I know the things people don't want me to know. I know secrets. I don't have any secrets. I don't think I do anyway. I'm an open book. Honestly, I tell people all my secrets and most of the time they don't even believe me. Felix steps back and I realize just how close he had gotten to me that whole time. It feels like I'm suddenly in an open field with flowers. Like yellow flowers. I want to jump up from my wheelchair and run through the flowers. Freedom, that's what it feels like. He was so close I didn't even realize it was starting to feel like I was being crushed in a can crusher. Lily the tin can. No, Lily, you don't like keeping secrets, do you? He says. I'm going to be honest with you too. I'm not from around here. I used to travel all over. Do you like carnivals? Have you ever been on a tilt-a-whirl? Gone to the top of a Ferris wheel and looked down? I'm a mentalist. That's a stage performer, kind of like a magician. Do you like magic? Sometimes. Who doesn't like magic? Boring people. And scientists. I would use my gift of knowing people's secrets and tell them things they had forgotten about themselves. Where they left their keys, that sort of thing. Or maybe they'd done something they didn't want others to know about. Those were fun to reveal. Any secret, I would know it. Like where your brother Roger hid something valuable from you. Oh my god, he knows where Roger hid my foil Charizard. Where? Oh, I don't actually know that, dear. I know that your brother hid something from you, but in order to know where, I'd need to meet Roger, and unfortunately he's not here, is he? Rats. Where the hell did my nurse go? Anyway, Felix continues, Joey, my son, was an assistant in the show. He was the most wonderful boy. You'd have loved him, really. He would have believed you about Paskar. Like your friend Jamal. He believed me about Raziel. The heat in my head and arm are going away. I feel a lot more clear thinking. What happened to him? You know what happened to him. Suddenly Felix isn't smiling anymore. I don't know what he's talking about. Did he tell me and I missed it? Did I read it somewhere? No, someone told me something. He keeps staring at me. Oh, is he doing that thing I did to my mother? He's trying to send his thoughts into my Meredith. Meredith happened. Meredith, I say. Felix nods. He looks like he just took a bite of a really nasty sandwich. I think he's trying to suck his weasel teeth into his face or something. Down the hall, I see the nurse finally come around the corner with my mom. I wonder how she teleported from that dead-end room to wherever she just came from. They don't seem to notice this tall, thin, weasel-faced man hovering over me. Mom, hurry. I came here looking for information on her, Felix whispers. His voice doesn't sound so cheerful anymore. It's almost like he wants to snarl. His teeth are clenched together and he's saying everything through them. But instead I found you. You don't have to be afraid, my dear. I'm going to find Meredith. I found her once, I'll find her again. Somebody needs to protect the rest of us from her. He pauses and looks over his shoulder. Do you see somebody? Then turns and smiles at me, but it doesn't seem like a happy smile. There's nobody there. The hallway is empty. I was seeing things before they happen again. He puts a hand on my shoulder. It's going to be okay. I'll see you soon, and then he walks off in the other direction down the hall and back into the maze where he came from. I'm shaking and I can't stop. Something about Felix Weaselman terrifies me. It wasn't his weasel face either, it was like I was finally meeting somebody who is crazy. Other kids call me Mad Lily sometimes, especially buttholes like Jeffrey Baker. But they haven't met anyone like Felix. He was so calm and seemed normal, except for the whole part about knowing my secrets. I wonder if that's even true. I wonder if there's really an angel in his locket, and if so, why didn't it speak to me? Mom and the nurse finally show up for real a few minutes later and take me back to my clothes so I can change. I do it as fast as I can so we can get out of there. Mom had put my quarters in her purse, she gives them to me. I tell her she's going to need to keep a couple. In the car, she asks me how I'm feeling, if my vision is fuzzy or anything. I tell her I'm fine. I don't tell her about Felix. I don't tell her about Raziel. And I definitely don't tell her about Meredith. I don't know what I can tell her anymore. I need to think about things on my own. What I really need is to talk to Paskar, and I know if I start bringing this stuff up with her, I might not get him back. I just hope that weasel-faced guy Felix doesn't go to my school today. At home, Dad is in his workroom. He was probably writing a dirge. He does that. Mom tells me to sit at the dining room table and wait. I wonder what we're having for dinner. Probably something that's going to make me want to vomit. I wonder if I can convince them to order pizza if I tell them that the medicine they injected me with made me feel funny. Mom comes back with Dad and Paskar. Paskar, where were you? Paskar tells me he's sorry for the things he knows I've had to deal with alone. He says that sometimes we face things alone because we have to in order to become stronger. He says that, you know, I feel like I'm getting a lecture from my parents. Oh, I am. They're talking too. But I'm not even listening to that, because I'm too busy being giddy to see Paskar again. Do you understand? Dad asks me. I don't. Yes. I tell him. Dad hands me Paskar, and I hug him to my chest. We have a lot to talk about.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna buy a couple more of these in-game items on the store really quick here, and then we're gonna call it a stream. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today, guys. Personally, I'm kind of upset we didn't get to do it by daylight, but I'll manage. Doesn't bug me as much. Just bring down the audio just quite a bit so I can smack the audio back up. There we go. Yeah. So let me just buy a couple more of these things really quick, so I can disable the hog nose off my character, which is, we can spend it for stars. That's neat. Let's see here. Guess we'll just buy the characters straight out. The more I have done, the more I don't have to worry about it. Voila, one page done. Cool, we just shaved off a page. We got closer to finishing this portion of the game. We're getting the curse off the pig-nosed people. So yeah, that's pretty much been our stream. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, this was a stream at Halos 2131. On Twitch, I go around 6-7 hours every single day. I go for about 3 hours. Vice versa, that if you're watching this on YouTube, or sorry, watching this on Twitch, I upload and Dre's Past broadcast to my YouTube channel at Halos 2131. I go around 6-7 almost every single day, and I go for about 6 to 7 hours. Or shit, I upload my press podcast and I will do drawing videos, not 6 to 7 hours. I know I said that. Also, if you talk in my chat room, my bot drops a Discord link. If you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be in the description. In that description, pretty much, or in that Discord, you can pretty much chat with me in my general chat if you ever want to chat with anyone, me or anyone who watched my stream. Vice versa, that if you're watching, or if you see other 2 chat rooms, that's for when I post my clips from the stream. And I also have a place where you can see when I go live. It pretty much posts that on the stream. Oh, as pretty much for stream. If you guys like this content, click button, subscribe, come to spare today. Halos out. Bye.